It's weird today. Everything's delayed.
Yeah.
When I hit my computer, even the board here. So. All right, everybody. Apparently stormy day in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But West Tulsa had power outage for
South Central Tulsa.
South Central.
So from the river to Yale, from I-44 way into Jinx. Oh, yeah. All of us out of power. And the rest of you like, what's wrong with you guys? Why didn't you answer your phone? I mean, my cell phone, it would ring. What happened, Eddie? You tried calling me?
Yeah, and it would just shut off.
One ring and then boom, it's gone. Yeah.
Right.
You know, people think I don't like him.
Yeah.
Which is another matter.
Yeah. Well, what was different for me when I called was, you had called me.
Yeah.
And it rang. And so then I tried answering, boom, you were gone. And then when I tried to call back, then it would do that. So it was kind of weird. Yeah. Crazy. So from the river to the Jinx, instead of the river to the sea, from the river to the Jinx. Hey, are you growing a beard?
I am. Now,
are you going for Santa or Papa Smurf?
Well, that's a good question. We will see, because, you know, in my younger days, it was mostly pretty nice colored auburn, you know, rich auburn. Yeah, I was a redhead as a kid. I was thinking that was my nickname. Hey, Red, you know. And then it was Van, and it was Van the Man. High school was Van the Man. I like that.
Man.
That's right.
You like that one?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But now I just he gets sick of the everyday shaving.
I hear you. What I usually do, I take a break on weekends.
Yeah.
Like on Saturday and Sunday, I don't shave, and then Monday I do it again. So, because my hair doesn't grow very quickly, I have a slow growth beard.
Okay.
And it used to be all spotty because I had horrible acne when I was college. When I didn't have it all through high school. I didn't get it till my freshman year of college. I guess it was all of the what do you call them? The junk I was eating when I got the munchies after being high or something. You know, I'd get the munchies and I was eating all this crud, and so that's I assume. But all through college, even after, I don't know how my wife was attracted to me at all with my. You know how
she's a saint, Eddie. I've told you that.
Well, no, you know, it's funny, but you know how when you have a pimple, and it's like, you know, and other people don't even notice it. I mean, really, because people tend to take in all of you, and including personality, and so like my big thing through high school. So we're gonna delay a little bit here on getting into it, but my nose, you know, as you probably can't tell. I know you can't tell. My nose is a little larger than most. But anyway, in fact,
it's broader. It's broader than most.
More plump. But anyway, so all through, you know, from time junior high on, in fact, I had a nickname of the nose, you know, and so forth. And so I that was the thing more than anything, you know, that bothered me. But anyway, so in fact, growing up, you know, people ask, did you have problems racially growing up? No, I had problems because of this nose or my acne or whatever, you know. But anyway, so and it wasn't until my junior year, there was another guy that moved into town. This was in Germany, in Baumholder, Germany. And so one day we were at football practice, and during the break, we were sitting on a hill overlooking the field, and we're up there. And he said, man, Eddie, you let your nose really get to you, people making fun of you. I say, yeah, I do. He says, oh, well, tell me, what's the funniest thing they ever said about your nose? And so I told him, you know, that nose knows anything goes, something like, you know, just like, but he said, oh man, he said, you haven't heard it all. He said people used to tell him that his nose looked like a turkey's tail. You know, on a turkey that, but and then he said, when I look up your nose, I can see your heartbeat, you know? And so we're sitting on this hill, and then I thought of one, mine looked like a double barrel shotgun or something, you know, and we're sitting on this hill, and I know everybody's wondering, what is it? Because we're rolling.
It's good you can laugh.
Yeah, we were cracking each other up, you know, and we were just, it went on. And so finally, that was a healing moment for me. It never bothered me again.
Good.
And in my senior year, there was a girl, Marty was her name. Anyway, and she says, Eddie, you got the cutest nose. I would just love to just squeeze it, but she was serious. She was just,
Wow.
but like I said, and it's because, in fact, this is what's weird. I transferred in October, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in December, they came out with, your award, most attractive, most likely to succeed.
Sure.
Well, I was chosen as the most popular.
Wow.
Yeah, in the school.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah, and I was thinking that was weird because I was only there a month.
So did it transfer to a date life or social?
No, my problem young in my life, I was very picky.
Okay.
I came up with a saying. I would rather go without than go with dog.
Oh,
I know. I was bad. That was different me.
Can I tell you my grandpa's joke? See, my mother's dad had a bigger nose than you. He was German.
It's hard to imagine.
He was German and Irish.
That's the problem.
But he had rosacea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
The W.C. Fields thing, except his was
he was
worse.
Like Rudolph.
And he said to me one day, I was a little boy, he says, Dave, you know why God gave me big nostrils? I said, no, because I got big fingers.
He stretched them out.
There you go. Dad joke.
Yeah. It's funny because I got this nose, the shape and all from my German grandmother and ancestry, right? And my mother had a nose similar, but this is more like my grandmother, only larger. And so the African in me made it larger.
Yeah.
And the shape is German. So I've got the perfect blend, a big, unshapely nose,
Well, Eddie, I didn't really have a full appreciation for your German heritage till the day I had to go over and see your wife about some work in the kitchen. And she said, this is Eddie's mother. And I'm like, oh my goodness, he is his mother's son. And you really have a lot of features.
Yeah, that's what people told me. Yeah,
but unless I saw her, I would not have associated your looks as German.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Most people don't. Right. I mean, most people don't. That's the thing. Never judge a book by its cover, and people tend to do that. I do it. We all do it.
Help me out here though, because growing up in Germany, you saw all the different ethnicities, and I've seen a lot of old Europeans and more Alpine with some huge noses.
Oh yeah, there's some big ones over there. They're shaped more like yours, but they're just large.
Yeah,
everything is enlarged, and it's not that they go out this way or this way. I mean, just all of it is just big,
Yeah,
big nose. Yeah,
sure. I associate more with kind of Central and Southern European.
Yeah, I've never tried to get into the anthropological aspects of it, what part of the world it comes from. But, the ones who have more of this type of nose, flatter, wider, is the Aborigines.
Yes.
If you ever look at an Aborigine, their noses look a lot like mine. Maybe a little wider, not as far out, but a little wider, So
yeah, and if you've not seen Crocodile Dundee, it's a great movie to actually see the Aborigine sort of. It's a Hollywood version, of course, but you get to see at least some of it.
Right. Right. All right. Now that we've taken you around the world.
Yeah, we got a guest coming in.
Yes, we do.
I think we're just going to let him interrupt the show and grab a chair.
Yeah. Hey, man, what's the big thing on your end this week?
Well, of course, at this time last week, we were just finding out about this crazy flood, and we had no idea. There's still more people missing than confirmed dead.
Yeah, the thing that really captivated America, though, is the little girl, the Girl Scout camp that got flooded and killed. There were, I think, 25 and 23 died.
Well, I thought Camp Mystic, which, I think of the I always thought that was Girl Scout camp. I thought there's a number of camps there, including a lot of Christian camps. And Camp Mystic got hit harder than anyone, but
that's the Girl Scout.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. But Yeah, it's just sad, but it's really touched the hearts of America. Mm-hmm. People, it's so funny whenever little girls or kids, children in general, but especially when it's little young, innocent girls, they haven't even begun to think about anything in life hardly. And boom, that, and I know what's going to happen, In fact, I think I already saw on Facebook they start questioning God. Mm-hmm. How could a loving God mm-hmm. take this,
Yep.
And I came to the conclusion, I think we may have talked about this before, where why not? Instead of why not? And because the sun shines on the good and the evil. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, the big, harder question is, why do as the psalmist says, why do the wicked prosper? Mm-hmm. Hey, God, look at them. They're just as rotten as they can be, and they're blessed. They're millionaires. They've got a great family. Look at us. We're over here. We have good, godly Christian families, and they may be struggling financially or something mm-hmm. like that. Why? How? And my thing is no longer to ask why, just to trust that God in his infinite wisdom. We have to, we have to, because once you go down that road, it's like there's no stopping.
Well, if you don't like free will, then okay, it makes sense. God we're all your puppets and you control everything. But that's not what Jesus taught us. Jesus said, when you pray, say, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. In other words, you have to invite his will.
Well, right. Well, you're talking about the will from God's end, because a thing like this has nothing to do with the will of these little girls.
But some people, in their argument, they presume God must have made it happen. That's right. The illogic of
it. Made it instead of just allowing it to have, right. But, it goes back to Job, how and why not. And so, why him? He was this great guy. God wipes out his whole, well, not his whole family. It's funny. Somebody made a humorous thing about the one thing God didn't take was his wife. He took his kids.
Oh, there's a lot of jokes can come out of that.
I know, that's terrible, But I think this came to me back when I was doing tours.
Yeah, concert tours
in Europe.
Yeah,
and I had a tour with Greg X Volts.
Yeah, I just listened to some of his stuff.
Right, his band. And they went to South Africa. They were with us for a week. Then they came back through Germany and Frankfurt, because they had to fly Frankfurt to Johannesburg, Johannesburg back to Frankfurt. And then they flew back to America. Mm-hmm. Well, the flight that they were on was Pan Am Flight 103.
Oh, wow.
It was on a Saturday, 1 week before.
Yeah.
The one was blown out of the sky.
Oh, okay.
Over Lockerbie.
Yeah.
Scotland, yeah.
Yeah, because that was leaving Frankfurt, going to the United States, right?
Right, exactly. It was from Frankfurt, and it flew the same route.
Yeah, it's always over the Arctic, yeah.
Well, no, they don't quite go that high. From Europe, from Western Europe, they don't do that.
I know. On a global map, it looks like an arc. It doesn't go quite to Iceland.
It'll fly over Iceland. Which is the lower one.
Charles Lindbergh flew over Iceland.
Right, and then Newfoundland, and then, then on in. So, but anyway, so I remember when that flight went down, and I realized, oh my goodness, that could have been Greg X Volts and the band, these good creators. And I was thinking about the families saying, why them? Why them? And in my mind, the answer was, why not? And so it's almost selfish for anybody to say, why them? Why? Because what you're saying is that your family, those you love, those you know, are more worthy of staying alive in other words, why them? Why didn't you take those guys? Why didn't you take my neighbors and their kids and that? Why didn't you take? Why not Kiss?
Yeah.
Motley Crue or whoever it might be. Take Taylor Swift. Why not Taylor Swift? Why them? And then I thought, man, that's for us to be that way. It's a very selfish attitude to have that our family should not be touched. We should not be touched as opposed to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have a guest. Hey, David, have a seat right there. Jon, you brought a friend with you to actually family.
I did. My campaign assistant today is my oldest son, David.
Just say you got him muted.
Oh, I do.
Number 3.
Right.
There we go.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah, my campaign assistant today is my oldest son, David Echols. He's gone to, I think this is his 3rd campaign event of the day. So it's been a busy Saturday. He sees what running statewide's like.
Yeah. Yeah. Jon, you and I have known each other probably a dozen years. And I remember seeing your Facebook page, and I think you were doing a flip into the pool. So,
that sounds about right. They both grew up at the Capitol. I have 3 now. David's 21, Ethan's 19, and Kaylee is 16, our youngest daughter. And it was really great. They got to grow up around politics, and a lot of them are in doing some stuff themselves.
Were they any of them pages?
They both were. Yeah, both my sons were pages. My daughter was too young. She'll have to page for someone else.
Yeah.
That's a great program, by the way.
Oh, my daughter said it was the funnest week of her high school. I don't know how it was for you, David. Thumbs up? Yeah. Yes. It's fantastic. Fantastic. And Katie Hankey at the time was a freshman, so she had no responsibilities. So I think
Dave, I don't think our audience cares about Katie Hankey. Okay.
But anyway,
welcome to Fresh Black.
Welcome to my life, Jon.
Once you go down that road with David, he'll go tell you everybody he knows and what their background.
Okay.
It reminds me of what's the guy on the show. It's weird.
Okay, see, now he'll get off on this.
See, there we go. Yeah, no, but it reminds me of this character on it's FBI, and he's the #1 most wanted. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. I don't think so. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is it?
No. This is not going. Anyway, it's okay. But anyway,
I'm backing away from this fight between you two.
No. It's just we have to keep each other.
The good thing, Eddie, is I know Jon, and he's our guest today.
Exactly. Welcome.
Right. Thank you for having me.
You came in as we were discussing the sovereignty of God. I mean, you're well versed in that, right?
Amen.
You're prepared for that.
Very prepared. Hey, listen. I'm a Southern Baptist deacon. I would much rather talk about the sovereignty of God than anything having to do with politics.
We're talking about the flood. Why God let that happen to the Guadalupe River? All the kids at camp.
That's a little Girl Scouts. Especially them.
The question of sin inside a fallen world is always a deep theological question. I read a great book written by a pastor during World War II while bombs were falling in Europe, and the entire pastor was a loving God in a harsh world. My theological belief is that God allows sin and allows evil because of what we did during the fall, not that we don't serve an omnipotent and a merciful God. And I think if you read scripture, what you understand is he has a concept of time that we don't have. I mean, we serve an eternal God. We serve an eternal past and eternal future. And it's sad, and we need to look for him in those. But I personally don't believe God causes suffering. I think it's a function of decisions we've made inside the world.
Yeah, I've always come to the what we were discussing was people always say, "Why them? Why them?" Like Christians, Christians in a plane crash or not in a plane crash. Or a lot of times, if a Christian escapes it, they say, "Oh, thank goodness it wasn't ours," but. A thing I came to a long time ago, this is in addition to what we were talking about. If evil only or bad only happened to evil, we wouldn't appreciate evil. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Right. In other words, if God only punished the good, we recognize evil by the pain evil causes the innocent. And that's what shows the difference between good and evil. Yeah. That if only the evil were punished and the good never experienced it, we wouldn't.
Well, and Eddie, I like that. My favorite Sunday school lesson to teach. It's on the chapter in the book of Job, where at the end all the calamities happens, and Job calls out God, and Job calls out God for an entire chapter, and he says, "Why me? Why me?" And one of my favorite lines in Scripture, he calls out to God, and God says, "You questioned me like a man; I will answer you like a man. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the universe? Where were you when I told the oceans they could go this far and no further?" And for 2 chapters, God talks about who he is. And what he did is he answered Job. And what he said is, this is who I am. This is what I understand. God could have said, well, Job, what you got to understand is the world's much bigger. And someday Jon Echols and Eddie Huff and David Van, and they're going to be reading your scripture and they're going to learn about you. And it's in a place called America. And I mean, God couldn't have answered Job because Job wasn't ready to hear it. What he was saying is, trust me, I'm big enough. Trust me. Yeah. And that is so hard in situations like what we're going through, because we need to do that in a way that doesn't seem trite. I mean, when my mother died of metastasized breast cancer, David, we walked through that together. Yeah. It wasn't that it was easy, and listeners that are going through a really hard time, the only answer is we just have to have that faith that we serve an eternal God that does love and care for us. Yeah. But it's hard. It's hard.
It is because that's what love means.
Amen.
Love loses more than the unloved and the people that don't love.
It's an unjust world, fallen world, and in our quest to be part of restoring justice, John, this is my segue back to your running for office.
Yeah, please. So tell us what district. Oh, you're running for Attorney General. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
there's so many people running right these days. It's just Attorney General. Okay, see, to me, that's a lot more important than Lieutenant Governor in our state.
It is,
and you have a lot of things to think about. Let's start with this. What do you think about, I'm going to put you in some hot water here.
I love it.
What do you think about the job that the current Attorney General is doing?
I think the current Attorney General is doing a good job. I'm not running against the current Attorney General.
Right.
He's running for governor. And what I like to tell people is, whether it's, somebody else running or a past Attorney General, I spend more time talking about what I would do in that job. I think he did a couple things really well. I think he went making medical marijuana illegal farms a priority. I think he did that very well. I liked that he would give an answer when we had one. I think he did that well. I think what I will do extremely well compared to him, or frankly compared to any of the attorney generals, is 8 years as floor leader has given me the equivalent of a PhD in state government. So for listeners, I served 12 years in the Oklahoma legislature. 8 of those years, I was the majority floor leader. That's longer than anyone in state history. What that means is, to put it bluntly, I know where the bodies are buried. I know what the state agencies do in order to misspend your tax dollars. And we can get into that with the Department of Mental Health.
Oh, boy,
the other things we'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I think I will do, not just compared to General Drummond, but any of the past attorney generals, I have more experience in making sure we hold bureaucrats accountable than anyone else. And that's going to be a real emphasis, along with some other emphasis. I'm going to continue that. I'm going to emphasize fentanyl and getting rid of the scourge that is fentanyl in Oklahoma. So that's where I think I really have a strong background to do the job.
Yeah. It takes on the personality. The office does. I mean, O'Connor, much different in personality than Drummond. I don't know that their positions were that different, really, but the way they carried out. And that's the interesting thing for me. John.
And to be clear, John O'Connor was a great attorney general.
I thought he was. Yeah. The thing for me, when I first met you, in fact, I was in the halls there and talking to a guy about a bill I was hoping made it through that, the first deadline, get out of the house. And I asked, I think it was Woods was his name. I said, did your bill make it? And he says, no. And this other guy comes over. He says, I saw it wasn't going to, so I had it amended, added to my bill, and I got mine passed. And that was Charles McCall. Yeah. I knew Charles knew how to get things done.
Yeah.
And then I saw you guys build a team. And I remember some of the people who would be so frustrated, especially those hard years when we didn't have the money.
Oh, so hard.
It was hard on you. And even the people who were most frustrated, I would ask them, well, what do you think of, Echols? I'm getting to know him. He says, I've never met a truly nicer guy.
Okay.
Who literally, he said, I've watched freshmen in there promise a constituent something and they couldn't deliver. And they're like, what do I do? And he says, and I heard Jon Echols said, blame me. Tell him I didn't get it done. He said, that doesn't happen.
Thank you.
So I, and these are people who had frustrations with you on different issues.
Oh yeah.
But so aside from your public service, you've also built some companies, and one that's serving a really big need in the jails.
Yeah. So my background is very diverse that I bring to this in addition to public service, but I do public service because I'm a lifelong Oklahoman that loves this state.
Yeah.
Not because we need to. I mean, we still have the land run up in Okeen that my great, you have to count on my head, great grandfather got in the Cherokee outlets. We're lifelong Oklahomans. In addition to practicing law, about 12, golly, I'm older than I wish I was. About 18 years ago, I started my first healthcare company. So I've owned a medical staffing company, a home health company. I've owned a sitter companion company. I've owned a permanent placement company. And then I started a company that got pretty large, 15 states, 150 clients, over 1,000 employees. It does healthcare in jails.
Yeah.
So including here in Tulsa County. And what it does is takes care of a very necessary population. It gives me a unique perspective on healthcare that I have found there isn't another attorney general in the country that has really the healthcare background. Yeah. And there's certainly nobody running that has my job creation background that has created the number of jobs, created the number of businesses that I have.
Well, what happened, we were managed here in Tulsa County by Armor out of Florida, I believe. And it's sad. One of Eddie's clients, the Williams family, they lost their son there, the Elliott Williams case. And fortunately, someone you believed in early and helped him, he became sheriff, Vic Regalado. And he and the jail board that chose us said, let's give this in-state company a try.
That's right.
I think they kind of had to amend some of their rules to even let you bid on it.
Oh yeah. To even let an in-state company publicly bid. It is amazing the corruption though that goes on in the government. I'm so proud of Tulsa County for changing that. The out-of-state boys had rigged it. And that's why we got to be careful, by the way, of people coming in from out of state trying to change Oklahoma. I love that we're top 10 in the nation in growth. That's phenomenal. But be careful. Oh yeah, the big guys had rigged it, so in-state companies couldn't even bid.
Yeah,
they couldn't even bid on the contract. So luckily, they gave us a fair chance, and we actually signed Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm sorry, Sheriff Regalado. He wants to think he was our very first large contract. We actually got Little Rock like 2 days before. But still,
you called me. We were talking mental health.
We did,
and you just reached out to me. And I said, yeah, I'm with this advocacy group called NAMI. And you were like, wait a minute, you're with NAMI. He says, John said, I'm bidding on this. And I remember I said, can you come to our NAMI meeting? I had Kathy Costello speaking.
Yep, she's phenomenal.
And you literally moved. I think your wife was with, says, honey, we're going to detour through Tulsa. I'm going to be at a NAMI meeting. And you've done so much there. The most important thing to me was the things you did after you got the contract your own price. You put in a direct line. Eddie, if you got a family that says, hey, Tom is back in jail. If he doesn't get his heart medicine tonight, he'll probably not make it. It was this phone to get directly to the health desk to your people. Did that. I had a little, Mexican gal who ended up in the Wagner County jail. And then when they let her out, they cut her off cold turkey, off Prozac that I moved in. And so you did something. You said, anybody leaves here, we give them a 5-day script. And I don't think that was in your contract originally.
It's not. And we still do it.
Yeah. And then my doctor said, why don't they subscribe to My Health so that they don't reinvent every wheel? And you evidently said that saved you money.
It did. We did. That was a great time in the company because we were really building it. I mean, that was when we were expanding, and now the company's gotten so big. I'm not as involved as I was at the day to day, but what we were built on is this concept that these are people that deserve respect, that deserve great quality health care, and that you do the right thing for Oklahomans. And with 1,000 employees, are there some knuckleheads that do some stuff they shouldn't do sometimes? Yes. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt. There's no doubt. But the growth of that company, David, was that. I remember the trip. I was coming home from a vacation, I think to the Precious Moments Museum with my daughter.
Sure.
And we literally detoured so we could go to NAMI. I care so much about mental health. I care so much about helping that population. One of the reasons I want to Attorney General is some of the problems we have with mental health right now that's going on. But we were real honored to get to do that. And the company since then has just exploded. Yeah,
it really has. You let me do an interim study, put together one. I got a Democrat Republican to play nice and do that, and now we've got some new mental hospitals about to go online. You said that was going to be the hardest thing, is getting the capital money.
That's right. So, and as a matter of fact, that tours right in as a legislator. I created obviously LOFT, the Legislative Office of Fiscal Transparency, which was DOJ before DOJ. We do it on the state level. It makes sure your taxpayer dollars are spent right. You and I worked closely together, and I worked really hard to get the new mental health hospital. One of the last legislative meetings I ever was at was grilling the old mental health director, the one who's been fired since then.
Hodges?
No, after Hodges.
Oh,
the one that just got fired.
Just recent,
yeah, because they still have not sold the Griffin land, which is so frustrating because we need that to be done, and they hadn't taken the steps necessary to do it. Yeah. But we desperately need to replace Griffin with a new mental health hospital. If you're listening to this right now, you've seen the explosion of the homeless population in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. I just did a whole Southwest Oklahoma tour in Lawton. We need more places other than jails to put our homeless, and certainly not in tent cities on the street.
We had one in the show here last week. Your friend, Chance Tinker.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Chance is an enigma, and he speaks very highly.
I do like Chance. One of the things you said, which I appreciate, is I'm a fighter. I mean, everyone's seen me on the floor. I'm a fighter, but I try to be kind.
Yes, you do.
And we got more spiritual. I normally do on the campaign trail, but that's because I believe when the Apostle Paul says, though I speak with the tongue of men and angels, if I have not love, my voice is like a clanging gong. I'm big on, if it's time to fight, let's fight. But if it's not time to fight, let's figure out how we can work together so everybody gets things better. Chance and I disagree on a lot, and I consider Chance a really good friend.
He is. Yeah. So, it's about finding ways, thinking outside the box, and sometimes outside of what the big boys want you to be contained to.
That's right.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah, what do you see as the major issues facing the Attorney General's office and law enforcement in general and the judicial system in Oklahoma?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we're running on a platform of creating a safer, freer, stronger Oklahoma. I mean, we have a message. Our message is not formalities. It's not some flowery. There's some real specifics. So when we say a safer, freer, stronger Oklahoma, here's what we mean. We start with safer for a reason. I've already been endorsed by the FOP. I've already been endorsed by the State Firefighters Association, and over 30 sheriffs so far. We're going to support law enforcement. If you don't have public safety, all of the other things don't matter. So that's number one, backing up our first responders. And then number two, attacking the scourge, which is fentanyl. You said earlier, each person is of their time. I mean, I think each general had something really good that they did. For me, one of the things on that public safety side I'm going to attack is fentanyl. The promise I'm making on the campaign trail is we are going to get fentanyl under control. We're not going to do it overnight, but that's going to be the big push. When I talk about a freer Oklahoma, I'm talking about protecting our rights. A lot of what the Attorney General does, it's the protector of the rights of the citizens of the state of Oklahoma. I'm really proud to have already been endorsed by CPAC. That's the largest conservative organization in the nation.
Sure it is.
And for them to come in and say, this is our guy, and it is because of my position in both protecting our religious freedoms, our Second Amendment rights, 12-time winner of OK2A award winner. I'm going to focus heavily on that. And the third issue, which I think will really be up for the next attorney general to do, this culture in state government where the rich and powerful have been able to get away with things, or at least, if not rich and powerful, the well-connected. Mm-hmm. The attorney general is also the lawyer for the agencies in the state of Oklahoma. And we are going to go after, for example, mental health. Mm-hmm. The mental health department, who just got let go. If you've seen the Loft report, which is something I created when I was in the legislature.
Allie Friesen, I think.
It was Allie Friesen.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not blaming any one person when I say these things, but I'm a conservative and I love the phrase facts don't have feelings. Mm-hmm. Here are the facts. $16 million was spent by the Department of Mental Health on a Super Bowl ad. $3 million was spent by the Department of Mental Health to create a hip hop version of the Nutcracker. Mm-hmm. They had a $70 million grant that they could only account for $70,000 of it. If you're an Oklahoman and that doesn't enrage you, you're not a conservative. I mean, now General Drummond's come out and said he can't prosecute because under the law, the legislature changed a law where there could actually be indictments for something like that in the future. I'm not trying to go after a bureaucrat who made a mistake. That's not it. I mean, most Oklahoma workers are the best people in the world because Oklahomans are the best people in the world. That is our best natural resource. I don't care what people say, is our people. Mm-hmm. We are amazing people, followed by our oil and gas. But first, our people. But what we have to do, and that's what I see, Eddie, to answer that question directly with all three, what I'm going to really emphasize is making sure the law is followed by our agencies, that they are following, whether it's DHS, whether it's Department of Mental Health, whatever it is, that the will of the people as expressed through the legislature is implemented.
Okay, but when a citizen of the state has to sue an agency, you kind of have to represent the agency.
Absolutely. So now when we talk, it depends on why they're suing. So one of the things I'm running on, they would say it depends. Open records is something that is a huge deal to me. Yeah. I'm an award winner by Freedom of Information Oklahoma. That's very rare that someone in legislative leadership wins that award. And it's because of my strong stance for free and open records. I'm going to want to, and in fairness to General Drummond, by the way, when I talk about what I want to do, I'm talking about what I want to do, not comparing. He has created and made some strides in that. I want to do that even more. I'm going to try to push forth legislation and suggest legislation that puts time frames on how long agencies have to respond. Someone would say, you were in the legislature, why didn't you do that? I did. I passed it out of the House. I just couldn't get it out of the Senate. So I'm going to do my best.
Yeah.
So I may be the one going after agencies if they're not respecting the rights of the citizens and moving forward, for example, with open records.
Yeah.
Now, if an agency is unjustly attacked, or for example, if the state of Oklahoma sued to enforce one of our laws by many of these liberal out-of-state organizations or far left animal rights organizations or these other far left organizations that are going to sue our laws. Absolutely. I'm going to defend the state.
A lot of times they are suing to change the law.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly right. Or if somebody's coming in, I mean, I would lead the way as Attorney General challenging, for example, the open primary system. I mean, that state question that's about to go on the ballot. I think that's a horrific idea.
Sure is.
If the voters vote for it, I'll support it. But if the voters vote for it, I'll do my job and I'll apply the law. I still won't support it. It's a bad idea.
So that's interesting. Jon, you and I talked way before 788 came about. You were already trying to expand into industrial hemp, CBD oil. And in fact, I think you authored a bill on CBD way back there.
Katie and Cayman's law.
Yeah,
absolutely. I thought it was going to cost me my political career. I thought that it was going to end up being one of the more popular things I did.
I was, because in 788, I got behind that for the veterans with PTSD, like my dad who was on benzos from the VA. I knew there had to be better ways. And I thought I was like, there goes my political life, too. So, but there's sometimes you just say, no, I have to do this.
Because it's the right thing to do. What I say on all of that, too, and as you know, I mean, I worked to implement the will of the people. I went on TV and said that the night it passed, that's what the people voted for. What I think we need to do on that is if you are legally in the medical marijuana business, that's what the people voted for. I'm going to defend your right to do it. Now, if you're part of the illegal Chinese grows that are bringing in opium and fentanyl to the United States, I hope you're listening, and I hope you get out the next year and a half before I get there, because I'm coming after you. So and that helps the legal people.
That's exactly a great point.
Right.
The Zellner family, for instance, they couldn't stay in it because they were being undercut.
That's right, by the people breaking the law. And we have had through the work of the legislature, the Attorney General's office, Donnie Anderson with OB&DD has done some really good work to get out a lot of the bad actors. Now that Trump has closed the border, which is part of it. So Biden had this massive open border policy. And by the way, illegal occupation, that was my bill. I ran on the House floor to support President Trump in that. Now that Trump has closed the border, we can really micro target and go after those that are still here.
Yeah.
And that's one of the plans. And it will help real patients that are using it legally and real businesses that are following the law.
So within weeks after 78 passed, there was a scandal in the health department because of a bribe that was being offered. And there was so many people infuriated that there was a petition moving forward for open legalization, which you and I talking about, we're not ready for that. Right. But something had to happen outside of the process. You had the ability to start an interim study. You got with Greg McCourtney in the Senate and said, let's do a bicameral. And I remember that place was packed out. We had overflow rooms. In fact, I had to beg you, let me in there, John.
You did. And I did.
Yeah, you did. Yes.
I did.
But that dialogue and you guys listening to the people were so mad because they saw corruption in state government.
That's right.
And that listening tour you went on, I think that's what saved us from outright putting one on the ballot for every.
I think so too, David. And I appreciate you bringing that up. You know, during my time in the legislature, I like to say I was a workhorse, not a show horse. I mean, I was there to do real hard things, and I never walked away from them. The downside, the easiest thing to do in politics is nothing. I mean, the easiest thing, you get elected if you don't make any waves. I took the exact opposite approach because I love the state. I love my state. I love where I grew up. So we did some really hard things, including what ended up being the unity bill. And it was because no other Republican wanted to touch it. I mean, no one else wanted to do anything with it. And then frankly, I will tell you, we also should have created OMMA as a standalone agency 3 years before we did. Remember, you and I talked about this. I ran that bill for 3 straight years and it either got vetoed or it didn't happen. That's part of why medical marijuana got out of control for so long. Till we finally did. And if you're listening, I'm not saying OMMA is perfect, but I'm saying it beats what was happening under the Department of Health.
Why didn't enforcement happen sooner?
Yeah, well, that's why. The enforcement didn't happen specifically because it was in the Department of Mental Health. It was a peon in the
Department of Health.
Or Department of Health. Thank you. It was a peon in the Department of Health. Nobody cared about it. There were very few people there.
They hated it.
They didn't pay attention to it. That you didn't get the top people. And I immediately filed a bill and said, every state that does this well, they have their own OMMA, their own agency that does it because it's too big of a deal. And I kept being told, no, we don't want to pass that because creating a new agency is growing government. And if you look at it, when we went from 0 to 15,000 was during those years before we got OMMA. It started going down when we finally were able to get my bill passed. And the only reason we did is frankly, the election cycle. The governor went on the road. I warned him, the people are ticked. They're going to be yelling at you. They're real mad. We better do something. The Senate, the House all went on the election cycle. And then everybody came back and said, oh my goodness, people are mad about medical marijuana. Thought I've been telling you guys this for 2 years. And then we started OMMA, not perfect, but really that's when our program started. I mean, that's when, and since that time, we've been getting under control what went out of control because, and I ran some other bills. I gave, in addition to Donnie Anderson with OB&DD, who's doing a phenomenal job, one of the best law enforcement officers in the state of Oklahoma. Our head of Donnie Anderson's incredible. He's doing a great job. We gave the Attorney General some more enforcement authority. And frankly, both John O'Connor used that authority extremely well, and Gittner Drummond has used that authority extremely well. They both got it. They both did a good job. That's what has moved it in the direction it's moving. But it got out of control. And I'm trying to find a nice way to say this, but experience in government does matter. It got out of control because I had a hard time convincing people that I know what I'm doing. I've been around government. You're not growing government by regulating what the citizens want us to help regulate.
Sure.
And that's why it's been so much more popular.
Chip Paul told me, he says, when I wrote this thing, we didn't have the manifest scandals with the health department.
Yeah.
He said, we never would have done that if I'd known.
Yeah. Even the authors were saying that was part that was weird. There was no outside opposition to moving it to OMMA. The opposition was inside the building, inside 23rd and Lincoln. And as you all know, I was only on in Tulsa, but I did a TV show in Oklahoma City for 8 years, in Tulsa for 1 year, called Your Vote Counts.
With Scott Mitchell, right?
Scott Mitchell.
Yeah.
The good news is it's great for my name ID.
Yes.
But I'm also an old high school football coach. That means there's 8 years worth of tape. So if you want to know what I have to say, it is all on there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And I'm like I am on here. I don't hold back.
Eddie ran for city council.
Yeah.
Every podcast episode got scoured here.
Listen, Eddie, I listened to you for years on conservative radio. Okay. You had a lot to do with my framing my thinking.
Oh, wow.
For good and for bad.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was going to say. I hope it was the good part. Hey, let me change it a little bit. Private schools. General Drummond has, I guess, come down against the Catholic schools.
Oh, charter schools.
Yeah, Catholic charter schools.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, not
private schools.
As receiving state funding, those that receive state funding. What is your opinion on that, on setting up, on the private schools being affiliated with a denomination?
Well, Eddie, you got to say charter schools. They're not private.
Well, that's true. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're charter
school. Thank you.
I'm in favor of St. Isidore. I mean, I supported St. Isidore. But again, I'm just giving my opinion on that. But I wrote a brief in favor of St. Isidore. I think we should have done it. Yeah,
I mean, because to me, there's a big stink in Dallas because the Islamic school, they're wanting to set up actually a whole community under Sharia law or whatever, which is totally overboard. But
that's right. There's a difference.
It would be like the Catholic Church wanting to set up a community that is run under.
Well, the Zion, Illinois ruling from a century ago outside of Chicago, it was a Pentecostal preacher, if I remember right. So you had to be a Christian to live in Zion, Illinois. U.S. Supreme Court struck that down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not even gonna, it's not even questionable. But
wait, let me continue.
You were setting up.
Yeah, thank you. Because here's the deal. If you're giving the basics, reading, writing, arithmetic, the essentials, those I think there needs to be a standard set. I think we all agree with that, of what is being taught. In other words, they're not teaching catechism, 5 hours and then 4 hours and then 2 hours of actual academics. And I know there's a fear with an Islamic school, they'll be teaching the Quran all day and then throw a little civics in there or whatever. But so I'm not afraid of having an Islamic school, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever, as well as Christian, as long as the essentials remain the essentials. So that's the way I think that's what true freedom is. It's not saying we want to keep church totally out of the public domain. We just want to be sure that it doesn't override the Constitution and civic law.
Yeah, my view is the best government is the government closest to the people. That means I think the state's better than the feds. That means I think the county's better than the state. I think oftentimes the city's better than the county, and that means I believe the family's better than everybody. I mean, I think God gave children to their parents, and at the end of the day, that absent abuse, neglect. I mean, okay, we have to, because every time you say that, somebody will take the extremes. So let's absent abuse and neglect. I think what you're really talking about, Eddie, as long as we have that set standard, we let parents decide.
Exactly. Right.
The state of Oklahoma has an interest in my children doing well, but they don't love them like I do. I mean, and that is where I come down on the side of a funded education system that is robustly funded, of teachers that are respected and that are taught. That's why during my time as floor leader, we put more money in public education in 6 years than the previous 25 years combined. But I also think at the end of the day, we should let parents teach your kids. We should give them that authority. That used to be what Western society stood for.
Well, we have a GI Bill for guys leaving veteran military service to go to whatever college they want. Notre Dame got a lot of those guys, right? George H.W. Bush back in 91 said, I believe in a GI Bill for kids. Let the money follow the kids. And almost like we do with our Pell Grants, you can spend it whatever that meets certain criteria. You know, you, I think, helped get the parental choice tax credit.
I did.
That was one of your last sessions.
And I'm hugely in favor of it.
I got 6 grandkids now in private school because of that. And they wouldn't have. They just couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. That's something there are, you know, just down the road here, Regent Prep is a Christian school. 4 of my grandkids go there. Now, they're getting a religious education and the court. And we don't have a problem with it. So somehow between St. Isidore and Regent, it's just how we structure it.
And what's so great about the Parental Choice Act is we didn't take any money from public education to do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, the money came in the form of a refundable tax credit as opposed to coming out of the funding formula. Man, what I'm so proud of is what we did during our time in the legislature is we empowered parents past what was the best school choice program in the nation when it was passed.
Yeah.
And at the same time, put more money in public education while cutting taxes because conservative policies work.
Right.
Because conservatives have to be willing to own these hard issues and say, we have solutions on healthcare. We have solutions on education.
Yeah. But when you first got there, a public school like Memorial Middle School, just 2 blocks down here, if this year's enrollment is down, they could just submit last year or the year before.
Correct.
Now you clean that up some. I still don't think it's where it should be,
but it's better.
Yeah.
It's the go student problem.
That is.
We moved from a 3-year look back to a 2-year look back, and while at the same time did open transfer. So we did both of those together, which were a big deal. What we said was, instead of looking back 3 years, we got it to 2. I would prefer what Texas does, but I'm an incrementalist. You give me an offer and it's better than what I got, I'll probably take it.
At least we're moving the football.
We're moving the football.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, we opened up open transfer, which is a great deal.
Huge.
Which said you can go to any public school system you want. I mean, if you want to go in, I think there's some things in open transfer because you got to negotiate. So we let schools put caps on what they should do. I think most schools are operating correctly. I think some are using caps in a way they shouldn't. Mm-hmm. And I think as conservatives, we can call it out. They're rich schools using caps to keep poor kids out. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we should do that. I don't think we should have a caste school system.
Right.
I think that public schools should be for whichever kid and parent decides they want their kid to get there, because that's what some parents want.
Now, let me say, Tammy West argued that on the floor. And one of the brilliant things she got in, she was education committee chair, was it's first come, first serve, not, well, there might be a good quarterback coming. Let's hold off one, right?
And it was Rhonda Baker. And yes, she did. She did a great job.
Rhonda.
And coming from Rhonda Baker, it was incredibly impressive because number one, she was a teacher.
Yes.
Number two, her husband's a great coach.
Yeah.
I mean, her husband is a phenomenal coach. She was a good coach too, but is a great teacher. What we were able to accomplish by by showing the way that the conservatives have the right ideas. Mm-hmm. And let's juxtapose my first year as floor leader versus when we left. The worst budget crisis in the history of the state of Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the worst budget crises in the history of the state. 4-day school weeks, nothing but Oklahoma was a declining revenue state and a declining population state. Now let's move to where we are now. We have grown the economy by almost double when you look at the appropriatable budget. The appropriatable budget, what back then was about $6 billion, and they were using tricks to get to the $6 billion.
Oh, we were stealing highway road funds from counties.
That's exactly right. Now the appropriated budget is $13 billion, and we were only appropriating, and we don't do a good enough job bragging on the legislature saying we're doing. We're only appropriating about 89% of the amount of money we could appropriate. When's the last time you heard a politician say, I don't want to spend your money?
What about the other 11? What is that? Rainy day?
It goes into either rainy day funds, one-time funds, or we created a legacy fund to help even out when these dips.
Exactly.
Here's what we know looking back. If we would have had $3.5 billion in reserves, we could have smoothed out the worst dip in the history of the state of Oklahoma. Yeah. And now we have more than that. And we cut your taxes, and we cut your income tax, your corporate income tax, and got rid of the state section of your tax on groceries.
Yeah,
all of that because now we inherited a mess. I'll admit it. We inherited a mess.
It was,
but we had a long-term vision, and when you see that vision play out, Oklahoma is the center of good things can happen.
So you give Governor Stitt high marks on that budget stuff, would you? Or
I mean, the legislature has more to do with the budget than Governor Stitt. I mean, just to
he found that out when he got over in his second year.
but here's what I would do. You're going to find I'm an overall pretty positive guy. I think Governor Stitt has done a really good job setting a vision inside Oklahoma. I think he's done a good job trying to point the direction where he wants to go. And I love some of the conservative policies he's led on tax cuts. I've been right there with him. He's led on school choice, and I've been right there with him. Those are some things that wouldn't have happened absent some leadership. It took everybody, and he was willing to do the hard things.
Well, his first bill he signed, I think, was our Second Amendment rights, wasn't it?
Well, his very first bill was authored by a young floor leader named me, Jon Echols,
that's right.
Which I'm super proud of. And it was constitutional carry.
That's
so the very first bill Governor Stitt signed, I was talking to the OK2A group before I came up here today. Yeah. His very first bill was constitutional carry. He campaigned on it, and what a stud on this part. I mean, what a stud. Not only that, the background is there. I passed that out of the House. It was the first bill we passed out of the House. We passed it right away. We got it to him. Then Kim David, who's now corporation commissioner, was the author in the Senate, who was leader at the time, majority leader. So you had two majority leaders on the name. She took it out of time. So she didn't wait to the normal 6 weeks. Governor Stitt signed it right away.
Remember that.
It was a breath of fresh air. And that was a bill that was vetoed by the governor right before.
Yes.
I'm super proud. As a matter of fact, I'm so proud. Soon I'll be announcing the NRA is about to give me an award for my work with, I'll issue a press release soon for my work passing constitutional carry.
Yeah.
That's of the bills I list. That's one of the ones I'm most proud of.
Yeah. Now, Nathan Dom said, technically we have to call it permitless carry. There's some little nuance there.
I love Senator Dom. I get it because he actually had a really good bill at the same time.
Yeah.
And there are other heroes, by the way. Senator Dom, that doesn't happen without Senator Dom. Now, and that doesn't happen without Representative Kevin West on the House side. So, I mean, there's so many people. That doesn't happen without OK2A and the NRA. I mean, that was the speech I gave OK2A when I was talking the new people, the history they have. And Senator Dom, if you're listening, I mentioned you by name in the speech.
Yeah.
But you had Nathan Dom, Kevin West, Kim David, Kevin Stitt, OK2A, NRA, myself. It takes a group, and it took a group of people that were more concerned about getting the bill right and getting it done than were concerned about who got credit.
Right.
I mean, everybody else stood up and said, nobody there, and I'm going to give the governor this credit too. This governor does a good job not seeking credit all the time. He does a good job of saying, hey, I want good things to happen for the state of Oklahoma.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, a lot of the big corporations he tried to wine and dine get here didn't work out so well.
You know, as Attorney General, my job will be to influence, to push the law and enforce the law. Yeah. I think we need to stop whining, dining out of state corporations, and we need to spend our money on Oklahomans. One of the things we're running on is Oklahomans have all the talent we need right here. We don't need to be asking for out-of-state people, out-of-country people to try to wine and dine the Oklahomans that are here right now, the good small businesses, medium-sized businesses. Those are the people we want to help. And we need to be careful of these constant push to get these out-of-state people, whether people, corporations, that may not share our values.
Well, if you do land them, you might lose them 10 years later to somebody offering better.
Well, especially if you're buying them.
Yes.
I mean, if you're just buying them, you're taking somebody in. And I think what we need to be doing on our economic development is focusing on our homegrown people.
Yeah.
And that, again, fifth generation lifelong Oklahoman. I'm not going anywhere. My family's not going anywhere.
Okay, let's talk about tribes.
Yeah.
We got the McGirt ruling. last time I visited you over breakfast, it was, I said, my big thing is the 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law. That's U.S. Constitution. And if McGirt's going to butt up against that and in some ways go sideways, McGirt's got to change so it fits the 14th Amendment.
Yeah, and what I told you again, anyone that promises you they're going to get rid of the McGirt ruling is pandering. Mm-hmm. Like that, I can't be any more clear. I mean, anyone that says the United States Supreme Court decided McGirt and Mark Wayne Mullen tried to invite the justice that wrote the opinion to come see what happened in McGirt, and he talked about it on TV. Mm-hmm. Not only did the justice not want to come, he was mad. McGirt's not going away. What we've got to find a way to do as a state of Oklahoma is to work within it. Yeah. And the answer, in my opinion, is more compacts, less lawsuits. Now, if there has to be lawsuits, there has to be lawsuits. If we got to fight, we got to fight. Yeah. And we can't give up Oklahoma sovereignty. We can't give up things like Native Americans don't pay taxes while everyone else does. Mm-hmm. But the constant fighting, I don't think, is helping anybody. Right. So we've got to find a way to cut deals with our tribal partners. As long as justice looks the same, I really don't care which court it's in, as long as the justice is delivered right. And that's what you hit. Everyone wants their day in court, and every victim, and that, again, law enforcement's choice. I mean, there is no doubt. No matter who gets in the race, I am the law enforcement candidate. I mean, endorsed by the FOP. I'll be endorsed by the vast majority of the sheriffs by the time we're done. Lifetime Legacy Award winner with the Sheriff's Association. I have the credentials. What I want to do is stand up for victims. Mm-hmm. Victims need to know that they have redress for their grievances. Mm-hmm. There's nothing worse than being victimized by crime and then being victimized by the system. Yeah. And we have to find a way. And I think we're going to be able to do that. I think we're going to be able to do, and to be clear on McGirt, I'm not saying that I would not bring another lawsuit. That's not what I'm saying, because I think there would be scenarios where absolutely we're going to have to bring more lawsuits because we can't get agreements. But that's part of the problem. We have to find a way to come up with a system that works without giving all that to Washington, D.C. Yeah, see, I don't think the Supreme Court really thought all this through. Well, I think there's no doubt they didn't. Yeah. But that's where I've got to be careful. I'm from here. I live here. This is where I'm going to be, and I'm not a panderer. Mm-hmm. So anyone that says, David, we're going to go overrule McGirt, no, they're not. Yeah. I mean, the Supreme Court's not going to do that. Yeah, but there's ways to get the tribes the respect they want and have the justice delivered in a similar way with a similar outcome. That's what you just hit. I think it has to be hit from a position of mutual respect, a position that we're all Oklahomans. Mm-hmm. We all want the same things. Yeah. And as opposed to an adversarial scenario, which is what we have now. Yeah. I mean, let's call it what it is. Yeah. We've got to find a way to work together.
We've got a two-state situation, almost like you have in Israel, and you have one group. It's almost it is nations within a nation, and honestly, I'm surprised that Black Americans, I was talking about carving out part of America, make it Black America or whatever, and anybody wants to move there can move there, and they have their own rules and so forth. But I don't know how, it's like Abraham Lincoln, nation divided cannot stand, much long endure. So it's something that it's going to have, it's not going to go away. That's right. I mean, you can say with this Supreme Court right now, you're not going to get rid of McGirt. So it will have to take a new breed, a new generation of Supreme Court justices to come in and say, look, common sense says either they're Americans or they're not. They're going to come under our law or they're not. And it's the same. I mean, honestly, and yes, and here's what's really amazing to me, okay? The 5 civilized tribes, they're not actually from here. And see, that's what makes it so crazy. So yes, they're Americans, but they're he comes from one of those tribes, so be careful. Oh, no, I'm not tribal. I thought you said Cherokee.
No, I'm not Cherokee.
How many? Okay.
No. We're in the Cherokee Outlet, which was the name of the land run in Northwest Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah. Okay. To be honest with you, it's kind of the other direction.
Cherokee Casino.
Yeah.
Outlet and casino.
Yeah.
No, but listen, sometimes I take the position, I'm very much in favor of Native Americans, okay? But what we've done in Oklahoma is we've singled out 5 tribes, and not just here in Florida and, all through the Southeast and all, because I've lived a lot of my life in New Mexico and West Texas, El Paso down there, and the Apache, the Mescalero Apaches,
Navajo.
the Sioux, the Navajo, you name them, they're living in poverty.
That's right.
And so we've chosen this group of people. What's really hard is when you see these toe-headed. My son played soccer with a couple of Cherokee that had blonde hair, blue eyes. They look like Aryans, and they're on the tribal roads. So somehow we've got to make the law actually fit everyone. We should not be singling out certain tribes above other tribes. And I'm that way. I mean, you've listened to me. I'm the same. I'm half the time here speaking against Black Americans, and the shenanigans that are going on there, right? I'm an equal opportunity abuser, I guess you want to say, or a dissenter. But no. So anyway, I think the real key is finding a way to equalize justice in America, bring them in, but it's so hard. And the bottom line, I'm going to say this, and I'm saying it more for them than you, is it all boils down to this, the green. I mean, I'm just going to say it boils down to that determines which tribes get preferential treatment above another one, and so forth. And that hurts me. So anyway, that's all I want to say. But I don't want to punish Native Americans. I just want them to live under the same laws that everyone else did and does.
If I could, a big part of this in the McGirt ruling was this Major Crimes Act.
Yeah, the Major Crimes Act.
Okay, so basically something serious, a tribal member goes to federal court for their day in court, right? And I'll give you an example. The guy who signed me up to register to vote first in Oklahoma is Harmon Moore, was our election board secretary. Sadly, about 6 years later, he went to prison, embezzled $16,000, 7 years under state law for $16,000. Your friend of mine, Rick Brinkley, embezzled 1,000 times more than that. 1.8 million is what they got him for. His lawyer ran to federal court, where the sentencing structure is much more lenient. He spent less than half the time in prison that Harmon Moore did. That's the inequity of federal versus state. So some of this 14th Amendment equal justice we're talking about is really between Oklahoma and the federal government, isn't it?
Well, yeah. And that's why I think at the end of the day, I mean, it needs to point out, though, that they're not originally from Oklahoma, but in fairness, they were forcibly removed and brought here. I mean,
they wanted autonomy.
Yeah.
Because Greenwood LaFleur stayed there. And Greenwood Avenue in Tulsa is named after a slave owner, Jefferson Davis' best friend, and the principal chief of the Choctaws. He said, no, I'm going to stay here. I'm in state government. So it was, if you want autonomy, you have to move there.
Yeah, and we cut a deal.
Yeah.
And we moved him here. And in fairness, this is a shocker. The Fed screwed it up again. So what we have to have a system that's going to work. Mm-hmm. Right now, the way we're trying to get a system that's going to work is banging our heads against the wall, having an adversarial relationship with the tribes, and doing as many lawsuits as we can, which is code for giving all of it to the same Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. So to be clear, I mean that what we're doing is if we're having an adversarial relationship, again, I've told you I tackle hard things, and I'm not known for telling people what they want to hear. The answer, in my opinion, on McGirt is yes, we have to get to the end result. What you said, we have to get to the end result. I think everyone agrees on that. I think the question that we have is, how do we get there? And what I want to tell people is, well, just the objective truth. I mean, the objective truth is you have two options. You find a ways to cut treaties with other Oklahomans who are neighbors, who are friends, who have been here, who you reason with, you treat with respect. You both talked about that. Or as Republicans, we just give it all to the federal government. Because that's what you do. I mean, if you just go the lawsuit route, what you're saying is federal government, you tell Oklahoma what to do. I'm not a federal government guy. I'm not from DC. I didn't work in DC. That's not where I'm from. I think I have cut huge deals with our tribal partners that have been good for them, have been good for us. And I think we're going to be able to continue to do that. Now, with the backdrop of, hey, if we can't, that's what the courthouse doors are for. Like if you can't do it, but it reminds me a lot of kind of President Trump when he kept talking about, like, I'm not going to negotiate this in the public. I mean, I've got a pretty good idea at where I think this thing ends up. You want a great way to make sure it not happen? Go ahead and start negotiating it without him. I mean, that's part of the respect thing. That's part of making sure they have some cards too. That they have some. I'll also point out too, most of them are Republican. They want it to, our tribal partners want it to work out. Now, if we're talking about taxation policy, I've been clear. Like, you can't have a third of the state of Oklahoma not pay income tax. Like that won't work. And McGirt didn't say that. Like, there was a the Oklahoma Supreme Court that was just decided. That decision was correct. That decision's what needed to happen. But we can't continue to live in this jurisdictional chaos. Like that won't work.
See, a lot of your neighbors over there in southern Oklahoma County don't understand what we're dealing with here.
It won't.
When I get pulled over for going the same speed and I'm passed by a guy, but because he's got tribal plates, they ignored him.
Or black.
Yeah, or black.
That one. Well, and that's
can you slow it down for us? Sorry. Thank you.
And that's what I'm saying. But I want to tell people on the side of the state, though, to make sure they're not being pandered to. And somebody says, "All right, well, no big deal. We're just going to sue it. We're going to overrule McGirt." Okay. No, they're not. No, I mean, I mean, Ed, to your point, like that's just not. They know it's not going to happen. And again, the difference between me, I'm young. I'm going to live a lot longer inside this state. I'm not going to tell somebody something that's just not going to happen. Okay. That's the hard part about running as a Republican versus Democrat. You got to tell the truth.
I got to ask you something that's probably a little uncomfortable.
Okay, let's do it.
We can do it. We can now look back in hindsight, watching Trump's second term. Things going really well, I think.
Excellent.
Back 4 years ago, we didn't know. And I think you were one who was seriously asking, is it time to get behind someone else? I think you did.
Well, not 4 years ago, but yeah.
I just remember there was a big announcement. Your name was one of them.
Yeah.
For Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what your thinking is at that time?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's not uncomfortable. Okay. At the time, it looked like DeSantis had the very best shot to beat Joe Biden. I'm been very upfront about that. Okay. Like, at the time, it looked like DeSantis was our very best shot. In the meantime, though, what has been less publicized is, I don't know if y'all know, there's a lawsuit filed in the state of Oklahoma to kick President Trump off the Oklahoma ballot. Did y'all know that in federal court? The reason people don't know that is because I teamed up with the ACLJ and the Republican Party and represented the Republican Party to make sure the federal court did not kick President Trump off the ballot.
Okay.
I mean, I brought the lawsuit, and then I was a Trump delegate to the RNC.
Right. Yeah.
At the time that happened, no, I'm all in for President Trump. Okay. I'm all in. Once we have our primary system, and frankly, I was in for President Trump before the end of the primary, when it became very clear he was our best shot to beat Joe Biden.
Okay.
He was our best shot to be there. And then I've supported him with my actions as an attorney, trying to make sure he could stay on the ballot, and then as a delegate. But no, I have no issue with that.
A lot of our listeners were really upset about DeSantis' disloyalty. That's how it was viewed. And I think we felt some of that too, and so I was just wondering if some of that translated to people like, what do you think you're doing, John? You disloyal guy,
I honestly didn't get a ton of that, but but I would have I have a differing view, even as it relates to President Trump. I think President Trump is the best president of my lifetime. I put President Trump in there with George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. I think he's my lifetime and one of the best presidents we've ever had. Look at his economic record. I was on TV defending it the other day.
Oh yeah.
How about I really step on some of the same toes that were mad? I was defending President Trump for his support of the big, beautiful bill and saying people that were using the scorecard by the non-partisan budgetary committee were actually insulting Trump because it assumed 1.7% economic growth when he was 4 times that. Yeah. His first section. I mean, that number was garbage. That's why I was for it. But I still don't think the presidency belongs to President Trump. I don't think the attorney general's position belongs to General Drummond, John O'Connor, Mike Hunter, or Scott Pruitt. I think all of them belong to the people. So I think when you have an open seat, that's us trying to get our very best person inside that seat. And when it became clear that best person was President Trump, that's the direction we need to go.
You're the only announced candidate right now, right, for attorney general?
I think there may be one more.
On the Republican side?
Yeah, I think there may be.
Okay. So you got some company. Whereas for the governor, there's quite a few jumping in.
There are a plethora and could be more.
Now, you know a lot of them without endorse, because I don't think you want to endorse anybody. You stay out of that. Give us some of your, just really short, what you think highlight you can say about each one.
Okay, I will do a highlight about each one. Yeah, I was hoping you were I have a great line when people ask me who I'm for in the governor's race.
I tried that. Remember when you announced we're at the state convention?
I probably used it.
I needled you.
But the line I use all the time is, "I'm firmly committed in the governor's race that you should vote for me for attorney general."
Yeah. So, you kept saying, "I'm voting for the conservative one."
That
was your thing.
Yeah. You want to lose your race, get involved in somebody else's race.
Exactly.
Here's what I would say with General Drummond. What you see is what you get. He's operated with integrity, and he's been very, very direct.
He's a type A personality.
He is. What I would say about Speaker McCall, Speaker McCall is one of the most decent men that I've ever been around, and he led us very skillfully through a fiscal crisis.
You stayed by his side all those years. I tried to get you to run. And you said, I am not going to back off of, I'm going to support him.
Now, you're not going to get me to say anything more nice about the others than the others. So what I'd say I'd say Jake Merrick. I mean, when you're talking about Jake, what I like about Jake is he has been so open with the public, and what his platform, what he's been able to say has been really impressive. I think when you look at Mike Mazzei's economic platform makes a lot of sense. He's saying some really smart things. Those are the big 4 that I see out there right now. Yeah. There's another lady that is in the race that has been campaigning hard. I don't really know what she believes.
Choctaw down there. Yeah.
But she has been campaigning hard. Okay. I'll say that for her. On the governor's race, and I was very careful to say the same amount about each one, and here's why. As Attorney General, I'm interested in getting things done. I'm going to work with, to the best of my ability, whoever the citizens elect governor, whoever they elect governor. Now, the Attorney General is an independent position. That's a position where the Attorney General has some authority and the governor has some authority. But I'm not interested in an adversarial relationship with the governor if we can avoid it, because that's not good for the citizens. What I would like to see is the governor and the attorney general get along and they all row in the same direction for the citizens of the state of Oklahoma. Yeah.
You've seen, even between the Senate and the House, a lot more animosity than need to happen.
And then that needs to happen. I mean, the infighting between the Senate and the House, some friction's a good thing. A little bit of friction's okay between 2 chambers. There's a reason we have 2 chambers. But you had seen times where it just got so personal and so extreme. A
little bit juvenile, I'd say.
Yeah, way too much. And that was probably the part I missed the least. I miss the people. Yeah. I miss waking up in the morning and reading the newspaper and thinking, that's stupid. We should change that law. That was good. I don't miss the infighting, because I think we always have to bear in mind, it goes back to what you and I talked about earlier, though. those positions belong to the people and the people only. I used to tell a caucus, you are a steward for a season. That's all you are. You are a caretaker of the people's job.
Yeah.
Whether it's attorney general, whether it's governor, what's United States Senator, or whether you are a city councilman in the smallest city. If you're a city councilman in a little city, Oklahoma, and by the way, I've been there. I've been all over the state. If you are a city councilman in a little city, that is still the people's job.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we lose sight of sometimes on 23rd and Lincoln. And that's the attitude I want to bring to that's what it's about.
Yeah. If we get really quick, this settlement of a suit on behalf of some mentally ill inmates. Right now, the governor and the attorney general are at odds on it. I talked to Vic Regalado in his office. He said, this is such a horrible violation of civil rights that's going on wholesale.
Vic's right. Sheriff Regalato's right.
And Terry White, the former commissioner of mental health, got called in contempt of court like 8 years ago over it, and it hasn't changed.
I just did a Southwest Oklahoma tour for a solid week. I was in Kiowa County. I was in Hobart. I was in Mangum. I was in Altus. I was in Lawton. I mean, it was a solid week, and I bet I talked to 700 people throughout Southwest Oklahoma. I was down there for 4 solid days. Mental health came up every time, and this suit came up. And here's the promise I've made on that. It is a horrible violation, and it's bad. And what is going on is we're not restoring people to competency so they can face justice. Who is really being hurt is both our law enforcement and the victims, because the victims don't ever get their justice because we're not restoring people to competency. We settled the lawsuit and we funded the lawsuit, meaning I went in the legislature, but they funded it to get that up to base, and mental health is still not doing it. As Attorney General, I'm going to enforce that settlement. That settlement was the right thing to do. Settling it was the right thing to do. But even more importantly, you can't be pro-law enforcement and anti-victim. You have to be pro-victim. And they are getting denied their justice while everyone agrees we have someone mentally incompetent that you, the taxpayers, by the way, are paying to take care of inside your jails.
Right.
That shouldn't be the case.
Okay. Now, is Dr. Lewis still working?
He is. He's
team?
phenomenal.
Okay. Yes. It's one of your first hires when you got Tulsa was a board certified psychiatrist to help these people with severe mental illness.
He's now our chief healthcare officer. Yeah. He's the highest ranking healthcare officer in the company.
Great grab, man. But you guys are proactive. If they're willing to receive treatment, you do it at the county in the counties you're in.
Correct.
Now, a lot of these people are in counties where they're being locked in perpetual psychosis by denial of treatment.
And even on top of that, though, when we talk about restorative competency, these are not just people that need mental health treatment. These are lots of people walking through that need mental health treatment. We need to get rid of that stigma. You and I talk about that. These are people that are actively in psychosis.
Yes.
Even at a place like Tulsa County, which has some of the best mental health treatment in the nation for a jail, you should still not be doing jail-based restorative competency. That's not the proper area. They need to be inside a healthcare system where you're restoring them to competency so they understand, okay, I need to take my mental health pills. Okay. I need to continue on my treatment.
And that's the Veneta facility right now.
And that's what and by the way, the state of Oklahoma has a duty to do that. They have a constitutional duty and they have a statutory duty. So if you're a taxpayer right now of Tulsa County, what I'm telling you, and this should enrage you, we agreed to do it. The legislature funded it. And by the state not doing it, it's not like those people go away. Now you, the taxpayer of Tulsa County, is paying for those services. You're paying to house those people. You're paying when something bad happens because they shouldn't have been in there. As Attorney General, what I promised we're going to do is hold the Department of Mental Health accountable, not just to have these local judges do it. We agreed that this is what we're going to do. And this is why my race is about more than just platitudes. I mean, about more than, is that going to show up on an ad? I'm going to hold the Department of Mental Health responsible for a very complex federal ruling. No, of course not, because that doesn't. But when you talk about somebody that has the experience and is ready to go to I've proven I can make state government work. So when I go listen to, because they didn't say in Southwest Oklahoma words like make the mental health settlement work. It's the Kiowa County Sheriff saying, John, I'm still waiting 1.5 years for this person to get out of my jail because they need restorative competency. And I can say, all right, well, based on my experience, I know what the problem is. I know who can fix it. And I know what we're going to do. I know what the plan is. There's a chance General Drummond's going to take care of that before I ever get into the office, because that's going to be a year and a half. So that, and there may be some other new issue of the day, whatever it is. The theme I hope I'm showing is even enforcement of the law. Whatever the law is, that's what I'm going to do. I mean, Justice Scalia had a phrase. He said, I'm a slave to the law. And what he meant by that is, as a judge, no matter what the law was, that's what he was going to do. Yeah. People know my philosophy, but I'm going to treat everyone the same. And whether you're the richest person in South Tulsa, or whether you're a poor kid like my mom and dad from the wrong part of South Oklahoma City, or from rural Oklahoma that doesn't have anything, you're all going to be treated equally. Good. And that's what this state needs.
Good. What would you like to talk? And the camera's right there. Give them a chance to tell about your candidacy. And
well, I appreciate being on here. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to the listeners. I appreciate listening to a great conservative show. And I think what we didn't get to talk about, which I always do, because we jumped right in because we're old friends. And Eddie, I listened to you for so long, I feel like I know you. But the other thing about me you should know is I'm married to my high school sweetheart of 24 years, Jon Echols, who is the very best thing about me, and my 3 incredible kids that we talked about earlier. That's what gave me this passion to serve the state of Oklahoma and what we care about. And the promise I make is the same promise I've made on my website. If elected, the Office of Attorney General won't belong to me. It'll belong to the citizens of the state of Oklahoma. And I promise 3 very specific things. And I'm going to come back after I'm elected on this show and say what we're doing it. We are going to make a safer, freer, stronger Oklahoma.
That sounds awesome.
We will hold you to that.
You got it, my friend.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, we're going to take a break so you can unwire, and we'll get you on your way. Thank you so much, Jon.
David.
Yeah.
That was great. Jon Echols and his son.
Yeah.
It's really always good to me to see when candidates bring their kids.
Yeah.
To get them involved, in things. And a lot of times, the kid may be, but at least, and it's funny because as young people, we don't understand what it's like for our parent. But later, there will be a time where it kicks in, And,
You talk about how I think you would classify yourself as a C student. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I made honor roll, but I still was a slouch. I didn't push myself. Echols isn't that guy. He got a free full ride to law school and graduate top of his class.
Well, you can tell. I mean, you got guys like and what's funny, he's talking about how great Jim Bridenstine is, high intelligent, but yeah, you can tell. And that's what's so sad to me, is, and I hate to pick on this, but it seems like I come down on my race or half of my race or whatever a lot. But Francis Schaeffer's son, great Christian philosopher, Francis Schaeffer, has a son who just went. He zigged when everybody else zagged, But he wrote a book, and I was thinking this title, and it's called "Addicted to Mediocrity." And no people group testifies or fits that description more to me than Black Americans. Sadly, I mean, I don't say that with joy, with anger, with malice. I say it out of sadness because we've allowed ourselves to be taken captive once again, a new slavery, in a sense, but it's an ideological, it's a mental slavery that's been perpetrated on us by the same people who physically enslaved us in the past, the Democrat Party.
Yeah, they want to keep you on the plantation.
Exactly. And they have mentally brainwashed us. It's so funny because up until the 60s, early 60s, if you were Black, you were generally a Republican. I mean, always, the party of Lincoln.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, people started rebelling, and a lot of it, a great deal of it, is credited to Martin Luther King Jr. And some of his things. And same with the Jewish race, they've also gone that way. Okay. So, and they're some of the ones who are behind putting the Black people, as Joe Biden said, they're going to put y'all back in chains, but it's a sad thing. So anyway, I just, I really hurt for African Americans, Black Americans that have allowed, and I have to say this, praise God that I got set free. Even after I became a born again Christian, I still, just because my parents, everybody I knew in college, everybody was pro-Democrat. And it took me living overseas. I was in Amsterdam when I converted to becoming a Republican.
Oh, okay.
Because I saw what essentially the social democratic government and the social democrats worldwide, which are more socialist than they are Democrat even, but I saw what it did over there and what they were doing, and I'll give you an example. The squatters movement that's here in America now, where somebody, if you go on vacation for too long, somebody can move in your house and live there, and you will have to fight them in court for months, sometimes years, to get them out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the craziest thing. I couldn't understand, but they would have these huge, they call them crackers. Anyway, and these crackers would have these demonstrations. I mean, we're talking hundreds and thousands of people in the streets of Amsterdam, and smoke bombs, and the riot police had to be out and everything because there was a whole Crocker movement or a squatters movement, as we would say it here. And I thought, oh man, I'm so glad we don't do that in America. And all of a sudden, just in this year, I'm hearing about they're having the same situation now in our larger cities. And, you know, it's a sad thing what the Democrat Party has perpetrated in the movement behind the Democrat Party. It's an anti-God, anti-civilization, really, ideology that just evil. It goes back to the French Revolution. In fact, that's what the Tale of Two Cities tells about. The Tale of Two Cities is basically London and Paris, and the difference in the French Revolution and in the American, basically the American, it's the American Revolution and the French Revolution that are put side by side, and it shows how the French Revolution turned out to be brutal, and they turned on one another in the end. Whereas America, the British Revolution, essentially freed the Western world. You know, but France has still got issues with that. The socialism and a lot of theirs, I think, though, is more of a thing of envy. And Germans are a lot like this. There's a German word called Stolz. It means pride. The German Stolz, the pride, and they resent America because they used to be a world power. Yeah. And France has the same mentality. And they resent us. It goes back to Charles de Gaulle.
Yeah, Rick Santorum, during his presidential campaign in 12, here at ORU, he said,
ORU Stadium?
Yes. He said, the American Revolution, our ultimate respect was to God, whereas the French Revolution, the ultimate respect was to reason. And there was not that reverence for God that underpinned who they are.
Right.
He said, our Constitution is the how, but the Declaration is the why.
That's it. You know, see, that's what a lot of people don't understand. America is run by two different documents. And one is the soul and the other is the spirit. The Constitution is the soul of
the reason,
our government, but the Declaration is the spirit that other document has to be given in that. And all men are created equal.
Yeah. Now, this Constitution we're living under is not our original one. We were a confederacy, a commonwealth, right? But the same Declaration inspired both versions.
Right.
So it's more timeless, in my opinion, the Declaration.
Yeah. And I have to say that our Constitution has certain aspects that I think are better than the Articles of Confederation.
Oh, yeah. Well, there were just great weaknesses.
Yeah.
Because we were 13 different nations, basically.
Right. So a lot of people, you get a lot of ultra patriots that would hold that. And that was one of the big fights. It was John Adams, John Adams versus Thomas Jefferson, I think, that had the big thing. And I don't know if you knew this. This is funny, but Adams and Jefferson, from what I understand, I mean, I wasn't there, but I've heard they literally hated each other. And then
until they both left the White House, then they were best friends.
Well, but apparently that they died within minutes of each other.
Same day.
Yeah. And
on the 50th birthday of our nation, they both died that day.
Yeah, and apparently Jefferson said, "Is Adams still alive?"
Yeah, but
no,
I think it was
he outlived him. And Jefferson, I beat him. I outlived him or something.
Because their campaign for president in 1800 was nasty.
Yeah,
they both served as ambassadors to France after the Declaration. So, I mean, really tight. Yeah. After the peace treaty with England, then Adams became our first ambassador to England. And you know what's funny? In his absence,
Oh, that's right. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Benjamin Franklin, but he only went over and lived there for a while, I guess.
Well, Franklin was there too. So the three went there.
Right.
And then after the peace treaty, then Adams was sent to England, got his papers, you're ambassador to England. And he was there for...
Was that John or Quincy?
John.
Okay.
And then he served there until after the Constitutional Convention of 87. Imagine how contentious that Constitutional Convention had been if Adams had been there, right? Because he's just that kind of guy. They forgot about that. So then he comes back in 88 to stand to run for office, and he was the second most votes for president. So he automatically became the vice president. And as vice president, he's like, oh, according to this new document, I'm supposed to preside over the Senate. And he took it literally. And he was despised. They forgot why they didn't like Adams. He just was that kind of irritating. And he and Jefferson were that way all along.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting too. I believe in the articles, it dealt with slavery or getting rid of slavery earlier than the Constitution.
Yeah.
They had things written within, and even the first anti-slavery actions were actually taken in 1789 already. But see, people don't understand this. That's why I get upset with this whole reparations issue and the attitude towards slavery, because it was the Dutch, the Portuguese. Well, the Portuguese are the first slavers. They were the first, took the first 6 slaves out of Africa, brought them to Portugal, and then afterwards Holland got into the ball game, and then England. And the Dutch were probably some of the biggest. But anyway, because they were dealing in the indentured servants, bringing them over and so forth, the shipping companies. But anyway, they actually put into the articles early on, and then in 89 there was, I can't remember, there's a book, I'll find this out, but anyway, they already initiated action to end slavery that far back, 1789. But here's the problem, and this is what Black Americans, well, first of all, they're never told about this, and their minds aren't able to digest this. But when Thomas Jefferson put in all men are created equal, endowed by the Creator with inalienable rights, they had a twofold problem, okay? You've got 10 million people here that need to be set free some kind of way. But they're unskilled. A lot of them don't speak good English.
Oh yeah, it's true. Even speaking,
and there's so many issues. So, and they're used to being taken care of and living on these plantations and so forth. And then all of a sudden, you just say, "Okay, you're free. See ya." It would have been a disaster because the plan was to see it slowly move towards that, and I think they saw that from the beginning. The problem was you have certain people, the sin of man, the sinful nature of man, certain covetous and greedy and evil people that then abused it. That's how it turned from indentured servitude to actual chattel slavery. Because initially, as you know, and basically, slavery really was never legal in the North. And in certain states, it was only legal in the cotton-producing states, basically. It started with sugar, everything, and then cotton. But anyway, Black Americans aren't able to, and our educational system is not inclined to teach another version of history than the ones that's been taught over the last 100 years, that the white man is evil and they, made you slaves and they fought against you and all of this. And it's those people that are actually the real abusers, because they want to keep you in a new type of slavery, you know, and with giving you free stuff. It's just a whole different, it's at least as evil, if not more evil, because at least slavery produced educated and contributory individuals, people that learned agriculture, they learned building, they learned science, they learned education, they learned this and this. The new slavery of the Democrat Party now blots out all of that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Education is the worst it's ever been.
They don't teach you to think, they indoctrinate.
Right, they want to keep you where you are.
I did see an old documentary one time. What you said brings it back to me, that after the Civil War, a lot of these agricultural families had these plantations. They realized, I trained some really good people here. It's in my best interest to make a business deal that's good for them and good for me, you know, in the relative sense. And so they became sharecroppers.
Right.
And then he said the tricky thing was, when that family goes into town, they're not going to be treated well. Now, I'm going to know their value, and I'm going to treat them well as, you know, the people they're in business with. But I'm going to have to make sure they're respected in the community. And so a lot of those farmers, they would network with each other and say, hey, these folks, they work for me, treat them nice. When your help comes around, I'll treat yours nice. And you have these networks like that.
Right.
Where, because, and that was a tricky thing, you know, because you still had racism, you know, but people who, at least for their self-interest, saw the value that another person contributed and respect them for that. Right. And if they wouldn't do it for that, they'd say, he works for Jon, and I don't mess with Jon. He's a good man.
Yeah. No, you say we, you know, it was still racism. There's still racism today.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a different, there's as much of it, reverse racism now. Yeah. You got it with Hispanics. Certain Hispanics despise, you know, the white man. Oh. And blacks and Hispanics, Mexicans in particular, really don't like each other, which is a weird thing. So, it's just sociologically, the science is more of an art than a science, sociology.
You know, it's funny. And you would think that a minority would be at least sensible enough that they wouldn't be practicing racism. And let me tell you, yesterday I went over to a guy, I won't say his name, but he's from Iran, okay? He's lived here ever since the Shah got booted out. He left. And I mentioned India. I never heard so much racism from him. And he would not stop. And I'd go over looking at his brother-in-law, you know, like, you know, who set him off? You know, he goes on and on. And then I mentioned the Germans. Oh, my God, Eddie. He hates you, not because you're black, because you're German. And it's this tribalism.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you one of the funniest things. I had this Tulsa, I don't know if you know it, but they have quite a few El Salvadorans here. Okay. People that came way back. And so one of my clients was from El Salvador, and hard-working guy. I mean, just hard-working. Well, anyway, so when he comes in real early, because he does these graveyard shifts, and so he's asleep in my parking lot, you know, when I get there, and he comes in, and he's just kind of, you know, and now, you know, like most people that when you first meet me, you see this black guy. He apparently never saw that. So he's there, we're there, and I was telling him his sons were good soccer players, and my kids went to Union, and so his kids went to another school. I won't say where it is. It's the one in Tulsa. But anyway, so I was saying, Juan, you need to get your kids over to Union. You know, if you need help, I'll help you get them over there. And he says, Oh yeah, man. You know, there's nothing but a bunch of niggers and Mexicans at East Central. It was East Central. They don't have any but niggers and Mexicans over there. And I'm sitting there just cracking up. And he never batted. It never occurred to him he was talking to me. You know, now some other black person might have thrown him out of the office or whatever.
Yeah.
But I could tell that he did not like Mexicans.
Yeah.
And it's what, 2 countries away, I think, or you know, it's on the border, and maybe it's next door.
You know what? Right.
I had to wait. I just had to do everything I did to keep from.
I know. Here you are, a minority.
I would have been cracking. I started wanting to laugh so bad.
It's like it's this idea that racism isn't bad unless you're in the receiving end.
Right. But but to him, there was no distinction between a black person and a Mexican. That's the whole the nut of the story.
Yeah.
That to him, one was just as worthless and bad as the other.
Yeah.
But here he is talking to me. So it shows you that the race was not in his mind. It was class. It was class. You know, as in India, you have the this, and then you have the untouchables. Caste system, and they have in every country their own caste system.
England's horrible.
Oh yeah, and so I've always said I've given a lot of thought to this. You may know, you may have perceived, but I figured out why black people have been the most persecuted on, and it's the skin color.
Yeah.
See, maybe we've talked about this before.
Yeah, it's lazy.
Well, no, yeah, but what I'm saying is, see, if a white person grows up poor and ignorant and so forth, but they go somewhere and study and start speaking differently, clean and dress up, they can move 50 miles away, 100 miles. In the old days, in England, they could move way far away. Yeah. And nobody would ever know. Yeah, you reinvent yourself. I'm Sir So-and-so from Nottingham, you know, and and you go to London. Oh, yes, sir. Oh, you're a gentleman, you know, and so forth. And so that's what but if a black person goes, no matter how much they study and how educated and how well they speak, they're still black.
Yeah. Now, there are 2 exceptions there. One was the Larry Holmes, if you're rich, you ain't black. And 2 was you, when the guy said, oh, you're an American.
Yeah. But again, that was in this century. Yeah. Or in the latter half of this century. In fact, Holmes was the 70s, I guess. And, you know, and mine too. But I'm speaking in general back, you know, prior to the 1960s and so forth. Oh, yeah. You know, in the South, and even after that, you know, just if you were black, you had to be dirt, garbage, or whatever. Now, within there's certain communities in Mississippi, Georgia, like my dad told me, he's from a place called Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. That's where he grew up. And the area he lived in, the part of town he lived in, was integrated. It was actually integrated, but it had Jews, Italians, and black people. And they were all neighbors in this area. And the kids all played together. They were all friends and so forth and so forth. But when they would go into anything like in school, they had to go to different schools. And then the funny one is, I still laugh about it. My dad loved the movies, and he loved the old movies because they used to show, like, they'd have double and triple features. And they'd have these matinees that all the kids went to. Yeah. But they would also have these pre-show. Like, I remember they even had them when I was a kid into the 60s, and you would have like these short Lone Ranger ones. Oh, yeah. But it might be, you know, 15 minutes.
Just like the cartoons that used to be on before the feature.
The cartoon. I mean, you made a day of it. I mean, you spent the whole day because they would, you'd have cartoon, then you'd have this short form little show, you know, Gene Autry. Gene Autry would do it, Roy Rogers and all these guys. And there'd always be cliffhangers because they're always, you know, and then the next week, all of a sudden, they miraculously got out of this situation. It will continue, But anyway, but here's what's funny. So and what's so funny, my dad always spoke so lovingly of this time, that it was the greatest time in his life. But in their movie theater, all the black kids and the black people would have to sit in the balcony. The whites could sit down in the main theater. Oh, wow. And but what was funny, they called, my dad, they called the balcony, it was the crow's nest.
Okay.
That's what I've never forgotten, the crow's nest, because there's all the black people up there in the balcony of the theater. But in his mind, he never took offense at it. He never thought badly of his time as a child in Mississippi, in the midst of all of that kind of stuff. So anyway, but sociology is a crazy thing, because the science of sociology, like science in every other area, can go two ways, and you can go too far with it and create a Frankenstein or some bad virus or something, And sociology, I think has done the same thing.
Yeah.
Instead of letting people just be who they are and let society evolve and move in an integrated way, regardless of who it is, what it is. Yeah. But they're always trying to work with it, and they end up messing it up, creating a monster. And that's what happened in the 60s. The modern Democrat Party decided they're going to change their opinion, whereas before they were oppressing black people. Yeah. Now what we're going to do is basically capture them in a new way through giving them things and killing their motivation and their drive. And because after a while, hey, in fact, I've told people this, I hope you go with me and let me pontificate for a while here, but the easiest way for me to protect me and my children is to convince you, if I can convince you that you can't compete. Yeah. If I can convince you that you can't compete, but don't worry about it, I will take care of it.
Yeah. That's the Democrat Party.
That's it. That and what they were successful in that, teaching black, you can't compete. Why? Because those Republicans over there, those crackers over there, will never let you amount to anything. But you know what? Don't worry about it. We'll take care of you.
Just keep voting for me.
Keep voting for me, and we will take care of you. And that's where we are today. They're taking care of us, all right. Got you in those projects, in your ghettos and in your urban culture. Develop your own TV networks, black entertainment, black this, black that. It used to be African American this, African American that, but and all it has done is re-enslaved the black community with airware, garbage, crap. Yeah.
Our friend Monroe Nichols signed a compact with tribes.
The tribes.
And to the outcome of, if you're a tribal member and you got the card, you don't have to follow certain laws and worry about our courts. We'll leave it up to your tribe whether or not you should be punished for
what didn't, as we were talking about earlier, haven't the courts already determined that?
No, this was a compact.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, haven't they already said that, you're saying anywhere in Tulsa now?
The court
not
said,
just on Indian land.
Yeah, the court said Tulsa does have a dual jurisdiction. The tribes have jurisdiction and Tulsa does.
Okay.
And so Monroe signed away Tulsa's jurisdiction of tribal members. And if that ain't racism.
Oh, totally. It's totally.
And then he's begging for money for certain color skin get housing help from the city.
Yeah.
You know,
he will literally bankrupt the city.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that have sense move out of the city because eventually your taxes will not be able to keep up with all of the goodies that he's given away. Yeah, this stuff has to end, Dave. I mean, somewhere it's got.
I was expecting better from Monroe.
Well, me too. I thought he was good. I thought Karen Keith was bad, but no, he is totally turned into. And we should have known, though. I mean, honestly, we should have known because essentially, who's his mommy?
Kathy Taylor.
Kathy Taylor.
Yeah.
Kathy Taylor.
And she's
not his blood mama. But
you were just giving us the narrative of I'll take care of you. I'm thinking Kathy Taylor when I think of that character. I'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Just keep voting.
You don't have to work. I'll take care of you. Yep.
So I think we've got 3 years, but at this point,
he's done. Stick a fork in him. He's done.
Right. But I'm telling you, I think Brent Van Norman's going to look really good in 3 years.
Sure, probably will. Probably will.
I really think so.
But what I'm saying, Monroe's done as far as moving any further up. Mm-hmm. He will not ever go to our U.S. Congress, Senate, much less the presidency.
Well, I tell you, what concerns me is how disgusted I am and like-minded people are, and conservatives are just going to flee. And Tulsa government will be a Democrat-controlled city.
Yeah, but the districts, congressional and Senate districts, are different from Tulsa.
Yes, that's correct.
That's why. Yeah, I don't know if Tulsa is beyond help or not. Tulsa may be beyond help, as we've seen. You know, even in our campaign that we had, everything from 71st North, except that one area across the street here, but everything else north of 71st, in between Garnett and Sheridan. It's so entrenched democratically, but the further out you in the suburb, Broken Arrow, Bixby, South Tulsa, like I said, south of 71st, West Tulsa, the people have sense. Yeah, that's where everybody's moved out to, and that's the reason too the Democrats can pull this stuff, because all of the conservatives have moved out. Yeah,
when I first moved here, there were 2 areas. Throughout the 90s, I'll say this. There were 2 areas that were conservative. Brookside, from Uta Square to I-44.
Right.
And then deep South Tulsa, like from 81st South. Those are the only 2 areas where Republicans really are strong. Brookside is radical.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst, yeah.
But, it's the wealthy liberal. I think Obamacare damaged the conservative movement in this outcome. It's that the medical community now is so dependent on government money that they're just going to want bigger government and more, because it's just coming to them.
Medical and education.
Yes, education, definitely.
Health and education.
Education always has been that way, I think, at least here in Tulsa.
I don't know about here, but I know in a lot of more rural areas and so forth, you don't have that issue.
Yeah, I'm just they were overwhelmingly Democrat teacher union in education.
That's the word right there, union.
Yeah.
It's the unions. And unions have been pretty much indoctrinated with socialism.
The education unions.
Social, yeah.
No, there's a good chance that the manufacturing sector unions are going to become more conservative.
Yeah. We're already seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is there. Because they've seen it's not helping them. And when you get people like Trump and others in that say, we're not against unions, but we're going to hold everyone accountable. And they realize because see, eventually what happens, and you're seeing a lot of, you got the Blexit movement, Black Exodus, they call it Blexit, but you're seeing more and more, especially young Blacks, that, no, we're done with you guys, and because they've seen, and what's weird, a lot of it is the gang people, the hip hop community, which is the influential area for the future, and as more and more young Black and Hispanic, Black, Hispanic, Asians become educated and don't go to Harvard or Yale or Princeton, but the general, they become more and more conservative and start they start seeing things that's why we have to continually engage in dialogue and talk to these people and show them. One of the great tools really is Facebook. I mean, a lot of people hate Facebook, but you may not want to argue. All you want to do is put pictures of you and your dog or you and your kids or whatever. But it's a tool to be able to, that's all I do. I rarely want to brag about my kids, my grandkids. A lot of people don't even know I have a wife because she's never on there, But once a year on our anniversary, I put but because my whole aim with Facebook is to counter the lies and the deception and everything that the progressives are trying to put out there. And we got to get more and more people doing that. Facebook, X.
Actually, TikTok, a lot of people are using now.
Yeah. TED Talk?
TikTok, yeah.
Oh, TikTok. That's the TED Talks.
Oh, yeah.
No, TikTok. Yeah, right. Yeah, whatever it is. That's right. TikTok's another one. And, but we've got to engage. It's the new marketplace.
Yeah. Last week, our guest, Chance Tinker, told us about a third party organizing. And technically, Chris Powell and Rex Lawhorn, I'll call it the fourth party because you guys are libertarian. They both ran for governors, libertarian. Yeah. So we'll call it a fourth party, the Sooner State Party. I haven't heard too much more about where they are. It's a petition drive, first of all. And, and you have to have so many people sign up, and then you get certified for one election. And then you have to meet a threshold. Now, we've lowered that threshold. Echols was a part of that. Used to be you had to get, I thought it was like 10% of the vote at the top of the ticket in order to stay organized and recognized by the state as a party. It's been dropped down to any statewide office getting 2.5% of the vote. So,
which I think is fair to say, especially the presidential election, for you to get 10% of the vote, that's really tough.
Well, this would be because of state. It's not president. Well, maybe it is. I know it's governor.
No, but it used to be. You say they've changed it now.
Any statewide office, you have to reach a certain threshold. Used to be whoever's on the top of the ticket,
okay, I got you.
Representing your party. Seeing if there wasn't a libertarian on the. But then they would go to what's the next thing, like U.S. Senate.
So you have to get 10% in something.
It used to be 10. It's dropped down to 2.5%.
Well, that's good. It keeps the door open for the future.
Yeah, right. And so I really think you've got a Republican Party organization that is like competing with itself, how radical to one direction they can be. And the woke left, who's so woke, the Democrats don't even recognize them. And I think you're leaving this wide lane down the middle for, I'll call it the chambercrats. Right. Business friendly, whatever gets us the most parks and, performing arts centers.
Parks and perks.
Yes.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be, I don't know how many public offices they're going to get, but I think they will exist, and then we'll see the radicals take over them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, I've never seen a party or a group of people so bent on committing political suicide as certain aspects of the Democrat Party right now.
Okay.
Because it's when you've given yourself over to AOC and what's her name from Minnesota?
Omar
and the bald-headed black lady,
Yeah.
When you give yourself, let those be your face.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's political suicide right there. That's why people are fleeing the Democrat Party to the party.
Yeah.
Now, there's a danger. That's fraught with danger because you're getting a lot of people to move over that don't really buy into the Republican tenets of the party. Okay. So what happens, they're diluting the Republican Party. That's why you have your American Party? Or
yeah, I want to talk about that. That's what I was going to go into.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you remember the famous presidential year of '68. Robert Kennedy was shot.
Right. Humphrey ended up in it.
At a very contentious Democrat convention in Chicago. George Wallace lost out. He formed a party called the American Party. And with Lester Maddox and some others. And they were pretty much a segregationist party.
Was Lester a part?
Was that something Maddox? Forget.
No, Lester Maddox was,
Yeah, later on, he became their candidate.
Okay, because Wallace actually became a Republican. George did.
Yeah, but... And he repented of a lot of the things he stood for earlier on.
Yeah, a lot of them.
But he was that classic Southern conservative Democrat. I still think George Wallace was at certain points just unexcusably racist, standing in the door of the university. He
says he changed.
He did.
He said he changed in the end.
Right.
Yeah, towards the end, yeah.
So, but this American Party, then you had the Reform Party under Ross Perot. You had the Bull Moose Party. You had parties, 3 parties. Here's the thing they have it in common. A very charismatic leader. We didn't have that with the Republican Party. They came out to Southern Illinois to tell Abe Lincoln, by the way, we've nominated you to be our candidate for president. They met in Racine, Wisconsin, the first year, the Republicans. This is just different. It's personality driven, I think.
Who is the leader? Who's behind it here in Tulsa?
Well, I'm talking about the American Party that Elon Musk now is pitching.
Oh, you're talking about the American. Okay, because wasn't there one that formed here in Tulsa or in Oklahoma?
In Oklahoma, they're talking about a party called the Sooner State Party.
That's the Sooner State. Okay, I'm sorry. I got that across my wires.
Well, but see, I think there could be a merging of the local with the national going on here.
Could be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And because I could see the business-friendly Democrat, which is what we had for decades here in Oklahoma, not a particularly liberal Democrat run state, a business-friendly Democrat state, and I think that's the kind of thing Elon Musk could say, I like that. I need more money. I'm disappointed in Elon. I think Elon, I would question, is he even stable enough mood-wise, or are we looking at a bipolar swing?
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. I'm a Trump guy all the way. I've been but honestly, I think that Donald has done it. He has added to the fuel that sparked Eli leaving. Here's the deal. Eli goes in, he puts together this Doge team and all these different things that he's, and he's, they're moving along, they're doing great things. Every day you read Doge found this, Doge found that, Doge. And I think that Trump may have felt like you, that he's, two entrees short of a poo-poo platter or whatever,
Well, he started attacking Trump.
Well, right. Well, but it wasn't until Trump crossed him.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I thought it started with the big, beautiful bill and Elon saying it's not going far enough.
It actually started before that because he was moving along with Doge. We're going to do the cuts, and all this stuff was coming out. And then Trump says, yeah, we're not doing that on certain things. Not the whole deal, the whole idea, but he says, nah, we're not going to do that. He started undercutting Elon to an extent. And then next thing you know, then Elon turns against him.
Yeah, the first thing I heard was that not enough deficit cutting. That's the first thing I heard from Elon.
Right.
And I thought
even before that, he was, he would go. And I think what happened in their private meetings, I think Trump probably was telling him, look, we need to cool it. We need to. Because if you look at the things, Trump has really become a lot more moderate in a lot of things. That's why he's being accepted by people that you didn't expect before. And I think in particular, it's the business leaders. And so that Elon doesn't really care that much for Jeff Bezos or,
Oh, yeah, they are competition.
Oh, yeah, you got Bezos.
Especially on AI, because they're all competing.
Well, yeah, and then SpaceX and Amazon's rockets, and then you got, it's not just them, but the Microsoft people, Google, all of them, they all hate Elon deep down. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Yeah. And a lot of these guys are very progressive. They're very more left leaning. And so, even what's the name? Zuckerberg, So I think Elon probably felt betrayed because you called me in to do all this. And Elon may have thought, as my old friend Pat Campbell did, that he's the one that got Trump elected. As Pat used to think he got Bridenstine elected. It was just him, So, I mean, we can get these things in our mind that, that you become bigger than the man, right? I mean, Jim got Jim elected or Eric Zellner, his campaign manager and all the work he did. But, in these people's minds, they think, I'm the kingmaker. I did it, and that person may not have the same idea. And so, so I think Elon may think, well, you rat, I did all this for you. I got you elected because I brought all these millions of voters in, and now you're going to treat me this way. See ya.
Yeah, I think Bobby Kennedy deserves more credit than Elon.
Yeah, I don't know. But here's what really gets me. Here's what really surprised me. One week you had Trump buying a Tesla. They made a big deal out about his Tesla. Yep. A week later, all of a sudden, this thing happens. I mean, it happened right after that. Yeah. And it was so sudden. That's what kind of got me. Yeah. It was just so sudden,
But here's the thing. Then we had this cooling off, and Elon apologized.
Yeah.
And this is why I think.
And that lasted how long?
That's why I'm thinking it's mood disorder, maybe.
Yeah, it could be.
I just don't know.
Well, maybe Elon wanted to cool it, but then Trump didn't reciprocate in the way that Elon would like for him to have reciprocated.
It was really graceful, but it was at the signing of the big, beautiful bill that things erupted again.
When he hates the bill. Yeah, Elon hates the bill.
Well, no, I have to say.
Do you hate it too?
It's.
I'm sorry. Just say what you want to say.
I'm kind of with Mullen on it. I'll take 70% of what I want. So it gets rid of all this cash cow credits and tax credits for buying electric vehicles. And Tesla stock really took a hit when they got rid of that.
It's coming back, but what's the other saying? You can't keep a good man down. See, a lot of the problem is Tesla is doing so many more things than the cars.
Yes.
They're innovative, and he's got all kinds of stuff going. And it's just insane.
Yeah. See, you and I remember you and I remember when Honda was just motorcycles.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Honda 50. Yeah. Remember, Honda 50 was it. Yeah. And we thought it was cool. And then all of a sudden, went up to a 90.
Yeah.
And then the Germans, all of a sudden, British, Triumph.
Yeah.
Triumph arrived, and then you got BMW bikes and Harley, of course.
But diversifying.
We chase rabbits in a second here.
Yeah.
But Elon, basically what you've got is two guys with fragile egos. Donald and Elon, and it's because they're so public with who they are, like Larry Ellison. Mm-hmm. Okay. What is his big company? People don't know about it, but it's one of the most influential companies on earth. What is Larry's?
They do cloud stuff. Oh gosh, I can't remember it. But and he's been around for a long time.
Yeah. But you got Larry Ellison, even Zuckerberg, and what was the guy that started Twitter initially? These guys, they
Jack
prefer.
Dempsey.
Yeah, Jack Dempsey.
Not Jack. Something. It is Jack. Yeah. I was thinking of the boxer.
Yeah, boxer. Yeah. But anyway, he's always stayed in the background, and he would be outed just by the media. And I think that's why I think he sold it, because he just didn't like that.
I think he's a pothead.
He's one rich pothead. I know.
Yes.
But all of these guys, they want to do their thing. They want to make millions, billions, and be the big guy. But hey, get the camera off.
Yeah.
I don't want, and so, but Elon's the opposite. Elon likes to be out there. He likes to be seen.
Now, unless he changes course on Twitter and turns it back to the repressive thing that it was under Dempsey, Elon will always have a fond place. And I think he may have saved Western civilization by doing that.
I agree with you. That when he took Twitter away, and the reason you could tell that it was going to be a big thing is the attacks. He immediately started being attacked when he took over Twitter.
Yeah.
That's when all of a sudden everything turned and people started speaking negatively about Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Because up until this time, he was their guy.
Yeah. The tricky thing with all these guys, though, and this will become really important here soon, already is, repressive governments are going after all of these tech companies. And Zuckerberg last fall, might have been right after election, I think, went on Joe Rogan and he started making his pitch that he's going to need the U.S. government to stand up and protect these U.S. tech companies.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And
Biden wasn't going to do it.
Right. Telegrams. I mean, he lands in France and they arrest him. Yeah. I mean,
is he still in prison?
No, I think he did get out. I'm trying to remember. But, Brazil, they just shut down Twitter because Twitter's allowing people to criticize that chief justice. Right. You've got a dictatorship in Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to have to get along and understand they have a mutual best interest.
They didn't see that before.
I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. They didn't see that before.
Right.
Before, they thought their college ideology, being counterculture and all, I think told them Trump's the enemy, that we want to go this way. They're Republicans or this, they're bad. But in the end, I think they finally saw that this isn't working.
And I think it was a matter of time. I think everybody just assumed that anything that's out there on the internet doesn't really preside anywhere. And so we cannot control it. We cannot suppress it. And now they're finding out, no, governments can come down. They can shut you down. They can shut down your bandwidth. They can do all this. And the EU is one of the most repressive. So I don't know. I think that's the one good thing about having Trump in office is
which reminds me, which is interesting too. Speaking of shutting things down, the whole tariff deal. It's like the U.S. is at war with all these other, particularly the EU. The EU, of course, hates us the most. But see, I could have told you that the Germans in particular, they have deep down resented America ever since we beat them in World War II. Okay. And they've sat there quietly and everything. And what's her name? Angela Merkel. She was the answer to American dominance. And remember, the magazines came out, the new leader of the free world, Angela Merkel. And there's no way on earth Angela Merkel was ever the leader of anything.
I know.
And that country was a mess.
Well, she had beta boys around her.
Exactly. And so it showed how far the Reich has fallen, when that's the best you can, she's supposed to be the hope for the world, but they still hate that. And their media does that. Honestly, okay, there used to be a company called there's still Hydro Hoist. You may have heard out of Claremore.
Okay.
They make boat lifts.
Okay.
It's a inflatable tanks that lift your boat out of the water. Okay. Anyway, one of their accountant, the head accountant, was a good friend. And so they had a factory or a plant in Germany, but things weren't going right. So he had to go. So he asked me to go to translate and everything. Oh, nice. Yeah. So we're in Frankfurt, some big high rise, and meeting with their lawyers. And you could tell, and even the guys who were running the operation there in Germany, they had this idea. You could just feel it. All these dumb Oklahoma Americans. It's one thing to be American, but then so they have some young punk lawyer, 20-something lawyer, come in because that's the firm that was handling things. And they were just as snobby and as, what you tell them really, you can see they really aren't hearing, and they don't realize you got a multi-million-dollar company. The only reason we're here is because this company is allowing Germany to market this product. Oh. And they really would have had better luck, and they finally did shut it down. So that's a client you lost.
Jeez.
Yeah. And because Austria and Yugoslavia and the Germans, what they do, the ones that own boats, they own them, but they keep them in Yugoslavia and Italy and Greece, places like that. And then they go, but anyway, so it's just that attitude in Europe, and France is worse, but Germany hates us because we beat them.
Yeah.
Okay. They thought they were the rulers of the world, but we just showed that they were nothing. And then you got the French, who would have been wiped out and a part of the German dynasty, except for America. But they didn't like that because, the French ruled Europe for so many years. The British tried that, but the British, there's too much good blood between us.
Yeah.
They keep trying to, it's like that family member, that goes off on their own and does their thing, and they're always antagonizing you. But in the end, what are they? They're still your family.
Yeah.
That's kind of how England and America are. So anyway, I'm just pontificating. I'm talking too much now.
Hey,
but,
I do.
You know what? What? Oh, I know. Never mind.
I do have an update. Jon Echols mentioned somebody else did get in the race for Attorney General. His name is Jeff Starling. Jeff had served as energy secretary in the state administration for a time. So there we have another name. Okay. Beyond that, don't know anything about him.
Yeah, I don't know who that is either.
So Starling. Yeah. So,
but no, John, I thought did a good job. I thought I like he says he listened to me back on the Pat Campbell show, but I of course, I've heard his name. Okay.
Yeah.
But this was the first time we met, first time I ever spoke to him. But no, it seems like a really good guy and like somebody who would do the right thing. We hope so.
The first thing he did, he sat down, he got right into a biblical discussion on us. And
yeah. Sometimes that, to me, that can be a turnoff sometimes.
It can't, well, we asked him.
Yeah, that's true, because we were doing that at the beginning. So it's a little different, but I'm just saying it's not always the way to start a conversation. Because
I don't like it when they're throwing it around for political gain.
But you're right. We were discussing,
and he was very comfortable with it.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, I could tell that.
And I know Jon is a committed Christian man, good family man, and
had his son here with us.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. So, and he's just a nice guy.
Yeah. And
I mean, he just really is.
Yeah, you can tell a good, energetic family guy and businessman. Businessman.
Very successful. He came from nothing. I mean, his folks, he was just, he worked his butt off. I will say this, I have not met his parents. His dad, he actually posted a picture of his dad on social media the other day. But it reminds me a lot of you with your kids. When your son said, Dad, I could explain why I didn't get an A, and you didn't tell him, well, that's okay, I got a C. You pushed him. Jon, I mean, here's the other thing. He doesn't flaunt it. You eventually find out about it, but he doesn't care some air about himself that I'm more intelligent than you.
Right. Jim Bridenstine's that way too. I mean, the guy, has dual degrees in economics and psychology, and we're talking masters as well, from Rice University and I think it's Columbia.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad he came in and I got to know him, and I'm impressed. So,
and he said he'll be back after he wins.
Oh, good. Yeah. We're going to hold all of them to it.
I do want Getting Drummond. Come on in. Seriously, you've taken my invitation in the past. It's your time now. You're wanting to run for governor. Yeah. Charles McCall, want to hear from you too. I did like that Jon he knew all the candidates, gave us something nice about them, but he wants to. That's it.
You can't. You can't do that because you not only alienate them but their constituents.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a quick story here that I want to deal with. A 20-year-old American was killed in an alleged attack in West Bank. Okay, and they want to put it as American, but he was a Muslim American. Now, here's the deal. The story says what happened, he was defending his family's farm that the Israelis are trying to take over. And so he was, trying to protect it, and he was apparently beaten to death by this Israeli mob. And if that's true, this is the type of thing that does not play well.
No, it shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't. You're right. And I just want to be fair and equal to say, if this story is true, then Netanyahu, whoever the government is, needs to enforce the law and go after these people.
Yeah, I got a question on that. This especially came about in dealing with the politics of Jerusalem. It's not like America where you can just, find land for sale and just go buy it instead of contract. You're not allowed to buy certain lands in certain parts of Jerusalem. There's the Muslim quarter, the Jewish quarter, the Christian quarter. There's different parts. And they're segregated that way and statutorily. What happened with the West Bank, it was taken over. And you have to ask, who owns that land? Is it the guy with the deed say, I'm a farmer, I'm a fourth generation, been farming this land, growing olives, and I want my kids to take over it when I have it? Or does it belong to the Palestinian Authority? Does it belong to the conquering army from Israel?
Yeah.
Whose land is it?
What area are you talking about?
Well, evidently this was in West Bank where
Well, yeah, but the Palestinian, not Liberation Army, the Palestinian Authority, they're farther south.
No, I thought all of the West Bank and Gaza.
Well, Gaza, I know, but I don't think that they have the West Bank. I think that's its own government. That's why there's generally peace over.
Well,
West
Hamas doesn't control it,
right?
Which is not a government. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Right. It's just like saying, which of the 5 families controls Brooklyn? Well, they aren't the official government anyway, but who really runs the place, right?
Right.
And so, and I only said Palestinian Authority just because I couldn't think of some governing entity.
Right.
Because it used to be part of the Kingdom of Jordan. And Jordan said, okay, we're relinquishing on it. But still, the guy whose family's always owned it, they've got the deed, the title,
Yeah. And the Jews are, Musaleh was trying to protect his family's land from Israeli settlers.
Yeah.
And who surrounded him for over 3 hours, blocking the ambulance from getting to him. Mm-hmm. And then his family, he died before making it to the hospital.
Is it possible for an Israeli Jewish person to be a racist?
Sure it is.
Yes, to regard a Palestinian life as not as valuable. Yes. I mean, I've seen that with Hasidic Jews that would persecute Messianic Jews.
Yeah.
And it just, you and I've heard this now for 40, 50 years about West Bank settlements.
Right, but basically, again, David, it gets to what we were talking about earlier, that it shows you it's not about race. In other words, the Jews don't hate the Palestinians because they're Palestinians. They don't hate the Arab because they're Arab. Bottom line is they all come from the same root. Mm-hmm. Okay? They're cousins. Mm-hmm. I spoke at Type Pros one time.
Yeah.
The lady was talking about the genocide. I said, it's a family feud.
Yeah.
So we can't call it racism.
I know. Who's Abraham's favorite son?
Yeah. So, and he didn't have a favorite.
Yeah.
Really. But it was more Sarah's. It was Sarah's favorite. But see, that's the root of everything.
It's the women.
No, that's not.
I'm teasing.
It's the root of
Seriously.
Women. It's the root of all.
Honey, please let me in the house.
Yeah, but no, it's not. It's not race. It's not. It's usually it's greed. It's something.
Can't we just call it tribalism?
Yeah, but it gets deeper and it breaks up. So, for example, the biggest thing with interracial relationships, especially between male-female relationships, mm-hmm. It's not because it's not really a racial thing. It's just those guys are going after our women.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our women. They're not good enough to have our women. Yeah. So you basically have put a claim on women, these certain women.
I've cruised around
and they're not yours.
Yeah.
They're not yours. They are women. And they have now they here in America, they have the freedom and right to choose who they like and don't like, race, creed, color, sex, national origin, But that again is the whole, and it's that, or like this story, it's land. Mm-hmm. It's land, women, land, and money. Yeah. Those are the 3 things that cause division among people groups. We'll call them people groups, not races, but people groups.
Right.
So,
so if I didn't buy the land and my parents didn't give me the land, then I can say, well, God promised me the land. And that's really what's going on over there.
Yeah, but I don't know if necessarily all of the West Bank necessarily is supposed to belong to this group of people. There should be a fair way to do it. There should be a fair way, like we do it. You take it to court, you decide, or you buy it back, right? If it was yours, but it's not yours anymore.
In America, that's how we do it. Yeah, you're right. But there's certain, and you know, Eddie, there were a lot of Jim Crow laws that prevented Black people from owning things or being married to certain people.
Right. No, I agree with that. But at the same time, in the end, the courts took care of it.
A lot of reforms took place.
Right. And so that's what needs to happen here. I mean, look, if this guy, his parents, his family owned this land, then they should have respected that. And if you want it bad enough, because apparently the son's an American, he must have been visiting, and he went over there to protect his parents. And it was his parents' land, actually.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, somebody should have come to him with an offer. Yeah. We want to buy this land.
No, I heard Benny Hinn one time said, you know, on my passport and my birth certificate, it says I'm a Palestinian. Now, what would the situation be like if we found out this guy was an Armenian Christian Palestinian? Because there are a lot of them over there.
Right. Wait, I got to go back to Benny Hinn. Because his real name is Hinn also.
He's Jewish.
Which sounds...
Ethnically, he's Jewish.
Oh, I thought it was Spanish. I thought it's Hispanic.
No.
Oh, okay.
But
sure that's not another one of his stories?
He was born before 48. There was no Israeli state. So he's just listed under ethnicity as Palestinian, because that's how, at that time, it was a British colony. They listed him that way. But he said, no, he says, I come from at least, I forget. Yeah, I think it was a mixed marriage there. But he does say, you know, on my birth certificate, it's a Palestinian. Right. He says, I claim my Jewish heritage as well.
Right. Hey, Dave, I think we better wrap it up.
It's been a great day. Great day. Sorry we're coming late, but we
almost
had to do
3 hours.
John. Yeah,
we're going on. This is a new world, a new fresh black coffee record.
And thank you, YouTube, for not crashing this team.
Yes. Yeah, so. By the way, a lot of power out here, and we're fortunate that the power did not go out in this part of town.
I think pretty much by 1 o'clock, everything was back on, though.
Oh, good.
At least my house was 12:30.
Right. I hope nobody had any food spoil or anything like that. Nothing bad happened. So, hey, God bless you guys. And freshblack.coffee for this, or freshblackcoffee@gmail.com if you want to communicate with us. And if you want to send in suggestions, ideas on who to invite, who you'd like to hear from, then we'll go ahead and try to get them out. And
let's see, we've had 2 candidates for governor in. The other 2 I mentioned, Gettner and Charles McCall. And Cindy Bird, I guess, was in town today, but I think it may have got canceled due to power outage down at your friend's restaurant there, Brookside by Day. They were in the power outage.
Oh, she was there today. Yeah, I didn't make it this morning. Yeah.
And I was feeling like, I'm too tired. I'm going to stay home. Then power's out anyway.
It's funny now. My problem is I've got 2 separate Saturday morning breakfast groups that I had been attending. I've been kind of alternating between the 2. So
yes.
The other one is more of a closed by invitation.
Yeah, see, I got invites to the other one.
You don't even know who it is.
Yeah.
That's how exclusive it is.
He's rubbing it in.
All 4 of us.
Yeah.
In that exclusive group, there are 4 of us, basically. So anyway.
Well, Jim was one of them 2 weeks ago, Jim Bridenstine, right?
That is one of them, yes. Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Hey, just having fun now. Hey, I hope everybody has a great week. God bless. And I was going to say stay cool, but this summer is the weirdest. We're having a cool summer.
Well, it's humid.
In fact, I think
rainy.
I think I may make that one of our theme songs. It's a cool summer.
Yeah.
Or it's a cruel summer.
Yeah.
Hey, God bless you guys. I'm sorry. Right. I'm just rambling now. Dave, we'll see you next week.
Adios.
Okay.
Yep.